stupid as being nice. You're an absolute moron.
We are all Richard Allen!
Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. Not sure what happened to the music. Where'd it go? Come on! I gotta get my music back. Hey, thanks Sammy and Alley Cake and Vicky White. Hold on, there it is, right here. Alright. Ah, you can see the dogs back there. They were doing, I don't know, they were flipping that mattress over a while ago. And they were running around. We put them in the backyard for a while, let them run around. They seem to like that. Clancy's just sitting there doing nothing. And who got the membership? Lynette Burns. That's hilarious. Lynette Burns got the free membership. I didn't even know she was still lurking in the background. That's pretty funny. Oh, that's good. I was going to show you this thing in Oregon. It's on Police Activity YouTube channel. It's pretty crazy. Watch.
Hey partner, how you doing? What's that? Could you go take your hands out of your pocket for me, please? No, you're not leaving right now. Hey, put your hands on your pocket right now. Do you understand? You want to get tased? Find the fucking gun! I really don't put the gun down! Put the knife down! Right now, put the knife down!
Anyways, he gets shot right there. You know, he's moving away, but here, watch how. Look at how what you can't see on this thing. Watch this. It's crazy. So until you actually slow it down, you don't see anything. It's wild. And these guys, this is what they have to deal with on a daily basis. You know, here, watch. All right, well, right there you can see he's got a knife in his hand. See that? Right there. See that? And then, so he's still got it in his hand right there, and then he gets tased. And then you can, it's just crazy. Look at that, look at that. So right there, there's the taser falling, but look at the grip he's got on that knife right there. And then boom, look at that. See that? And the taser hits the ground, starts wiggling, falling away. And then, look at, I mean, shit, look at that right there. He's going to start trying to swing that thing. That knife, very dangerous. And look at, you can see he just got done swinging at him. So look at his hand right there, his right arm, right? See that? See his right arm right there? Now watch this. I mean, that is, look at, watch this. Right now, he's already got the follow through on it. Like he just did a total haymaker attempt with a knife. And look, it's still in his hand right there on the right. And then the officer actually shoots him, even though he's walking away. I think that's totally justified, though. This guy's a danger to humanity at this point. He's going to, who knows what he's going to do with that knife. And, you know, he gets shot and then he eventually just falls down. Only 2 shots, though. You know, sometimes in situations like that, you kind of think, man, should he just shoot him in the legs if he's running away, going away like that? Or hit him with something else? But it doesn't bother me a bit. Anytime you got somebody going after a cop with a knife, you can just really kind of expect that to happen. So there you go. Hey, look at that Truth Sleuth. 59 months. As she always says, it would have been longer, but she was mad one time. Alright, so that was all I was going to show you on that. And there's a Amber Alert. And by the way, if you want to help support the channel, we're currently at $3.99 with 1 channel membership. We're currently 1/80th of the goal. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel during this live stream, that would be great. You guys know the story, know the drill. Alright, so here's an Amber Alert real quick. An Amber Alert has been issued after, and that guy died in the last video, by the way. Issued after a Riverdale mother was found dead. So a mother was found dead in her Weber County, in a Weber County house fire. Police said her 2 children were missing, along with the children's father. Officials from the Riverdale Police Department said firefighters were called to a home at the Riverdale Manufactured Home Community at 5100 South 1050 West after reports of a fire. This is in Riverdale, Utah. Crews found a woman dead inside the home. During the course of their investigation, they were unable to locate the women's 2 children, nor the children's father. Officers believe the children were abducted by their father and faced imminent danger, serious bodily injury, or death. The suspect, Ricardo Rogel Trujillo, 29, was believed to be driving a white Ford F-150 work-style truck with an In God We Trust Utah license plate number 8BSC6. Welcome, Texas Wench. Hey, you guys, I didn't call her that, okay? I didn't say, hey, Texas Wench. That's actually the name on her YouTube handle, if you can believe that. The truck has gray or black trim and bottom of the doors and the wheel wells. The tailgate on the truck has a business logo that possibly reads ANV with a phone number 801-920-8397. Trujillo was described as 5'5", 180 pounds, and has black hair and black eyes. Officials described him as possible homicide and arson suspect. He was accused of abducting 2-year-old Angie Trujillo and 3-year-old Ricardo Trujillo. Angie was described as 2 feet 2, 35 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Ricardo was described as 2 feet 5, 45 pounds. He has black hair and black eyes. Anyone with information has been asked to call the Riverdale Police Department at 801-394-6616 or dial 911. Alright, so there's that. And then there's a really quick, I don't think it's that long. Like a minute by this guy.
Yeah, for them, if they see this vehicle with a male and 2 small children, we ask that you call 911 immediately. Do not engage the individual. Just call the police and try to keep your eyes on the vehicle as long as possible until police arrive. At this point, like I says, the situation, we just want to locate the kids to make sure they're safe. The investigation here on scene's ongoing. I can't comment further on that.
Do you believe the kids are in danger at this point?
Due to the circumstances, possibly yes. There's a potential danger. Until we get our eyes on those kids and are able to get them in our custody. We do believe there's a potential they could be in danger, and that's why we issued the Amber Alert.
How many hours the kids been absent?
It's been a few hours, so we're at about 4 hours, and we're asking that pretty much all of your viewers here, all the way down to southern Utah. We believe the individual may be heading south, so anyone traveling down the I-15 corridor, down in the southern Utah communities, we ask that you be on the lookout for these vehicles. And that's all the information I have at this
Help
point.
us understand the custodial situation between the two adults and the kids.
The kids are with their biological father, from what we understand. I can't comment any further on that.
Was this their biological mother that you found deceased in the home?
I can't comment any further on that.
Yes.
Okay, that's all the comments I have for you guys today. Thank you. Oh,
So there you go. And in that video with this guy, this guy died. He gets shot. He basically falls to the ground over there. So, anyways, oh yeah, and I do have a. If you guys want to see the progress made in my animation here, if anybody's interested. All right, isn't that pretty sweet, you guys? Look at that. I mean, it's almost exact time, even here. And he drove really slow on this street right here. This is Kohberger's vehicle by 787 Indian Hills Drive. See that? Pretty sweet, huh? Right? And then the car drives around. I'm speeding it up. And then right here, goes through this intersection. And then it comes, I didn't really have it slow down right here for some reason, but it'll be fine. It just went right through there. And then goes right by Ridge Road. So you have these little words. 1125 Ridge Road. And then goes right here, passes the hell's the name of that? I can't remember. Linda Lane. Yeah, it passes Linda Lane right there, and then here the vehicle comes around. I'll just speed it up by playing it faster. Comes around like this. It's really a lot slower than that I have it. And he drives pretty slow based on the timing of things. I think he goes really pretty slow back here. And here it comes, and then it'll park right there. See, there you go. And then it sits there for like a minute and a half or so. Pretty good though, right? And that's the full screen. You have a clock up there, so you can be able to see the certain times. I'm gonna make it like a little flash thing that happens each time a camera picks it up. Oh, please what, Kylie? Oh, please what? Oh, please. I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah. I was going to ask the same thing. No, go ahead. What is it? Did we get the trolls showing up in here again? I just want to let you know. Here's what's going to happen, you guys. This is a reality that I'm going to tell you right now. The people out here who are being trolls and literally because they're crazy in their own minds think that Kohberger didn't do it. When the trial happens, you are going to be absolutely embarrassed. Okay, but you, based on the way I've seen you guys, you won't admit it. You'll try to make it seem like it was the system against somebody, etc. And you're just going to be absolutely embarrassed. You're going to look like an absolute fool when the information comes out, okay? So you can sit there and do all the stuff that you want, but man, we are just all going to laugh. And I bet you'll be presented with information that's irrefutable proof, and you're going to still deny it because you guys are idiots, all right? Thank you very much. Have a nice day. There is no anybody who's out there actively believing Kohberger didn't do it is technically an idiot, like literally a dumb person. All right, and you know, I'm sorry if that offends some of you, but that's just the reality of it. It means that you believe in, you know, fairy tales, ghosts, and goblins, and are just absolutely a lunatic of the highest degree. Scary stuff, really. And then you hear people go, Gray, you would suck at a jury. You're not open-minded. You know what I am? I'm somebody, when you look at the evidence presented, that's where it is, all right? Not trying to invent a story and trying to believe some fairy tale that people say, okay? It's crazy. Absolutely just lunatic fringe stuff. That's not nice, Gray. There's some people who really have genuine concerns. You know, they just have different... Ah, Jesus. Really? My God. You're the ones that... like every single day you have the same comment that you make. You know? Like there's people like, who left the DoorDash? Who ordered the DoorDash delivery? Xana ordered the DoorDash delivery. You know why? I mean, it doesn't say specifically in the documents that Xana ordered the DoorDash delivery. It says a DoorDash delivery was made to Xana Kernodle. Doesn't it make sense, though, that because she was awake and still using TikTok at 4:12, that she's likely the person who ordered the damn thing? You know, as a late-night snack or something. Doesn't that make sense? And then, by the way, why would Bryan Kohberger, or the real killer, have a DoorDash delivered to have people awake? You wanted to have the element of surprise and sneak into the house. You know, just try to think through things a little bit. Just every once in a while, just kind of have a thought that's rational. Maybe that'll help out. That'd be fantastic. All right, you guys, we're really struggling right out of the gate tonight. So if you're out there and you have the ability to help support this channel, if you come back in the next few days, hopefully we'll be donating thousands of dollars that we do every single month out of the channel. And that's why I ask people to send in super chats and so forth, because I donate a portion of my ad revenue and I donate a lot of the super chats, and that's just the way it is. All right. The yells and ad libs. All right, Kate H. Saying thank you for all the good work you've been putting out lately. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I'm sort of almost moving towards like the video solo, you know, like realm. You know, my thing is I don't like when I'm on the live streams, and you know, when I do the live streams and I feel like I'm having to ask, hey guys, can you please support the channel? It's not a good feeling, you know, it just doesn't feel good. I just wish people would do it naturally, but they don't. So it turns out the shows that I don't ask, it's very poor shows. If I ask, sometimes they're okay or better or good. And I just want people to just realize what we do here. So if you're new to this channel, I take a large portion. We've already given $234,811 since January of 2020, and did $49,000 last year, $57,000 the year before that, $62,000 the year before that, and $5,500 so far this year, which is way slower than normal. So we'll just see. You know, we're hoping to get back up to what we used to do. All right. So there you go. All right. So I don't like it. I just want you guys to just realize, hey, if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, and know that there is very little ad revenue on live streams. Okay. And so when I do these 3-hour shows, it kind of just comes down to you guys making it worth the while doing it. All right, let's see. YouTube knows to show the big back food ads. I don't know what that means, man. The big back food ads. Big back food ad. I mean, back to school, or? Yeah, I'm not going to DoorDash. My videos do pretty well. So that's why I'm sort of like, sometimes I think just switching to making like a couple videos a day or something on different cases or something, you know. But we've always done the live stream, so I'm still here. Alright. Why would I do DoorDash? That's stupid. Let's see. Hey, welcome. What is that? Kel? And self-esteem. See? You gave me more self-esteem. Let's see. Alright, let's get to the documents. And should I just do... I'm just going to do them in the order that I downloaded them. Because that was the backwards order up. So it should be like oldest to newest. We'll just read these things. One of them's 14 pages. That'll be the longest one. So a lot of these are responses by the state. All right. And after that, maybe we'll do something where we bring up a topic and then see what people think about those topics. Yeah, that guy's an idiot. She fell in love. That person can't think their way out of a shoebox. So, way to type that in so everyone else can watch the same drivel. All right, here we go. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney and respectfully replies to the defendant's response and objection to state's motion in limine for this is regarding the immediate family members in the courtroom. The state is in agreement that immediate families should logically include step-parents and relatives by marriage. What do you mean by relatives? That could be anybody. The defendant stipulates to the individuals listed within State's Exhibit S1. Therefore, the state moves the court for an order allowing the family members listed on State's Exhibit 1 to remain in the courtroom during the entirety of the trial against the defendant. Regarding courtroom decorum, the state defers to the court's inherent authority to supervise their officer, parties, witness, counsel, and jurors by imposing rules to protect the rights of litigants and orderly administration of justice. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that this document's just kind of self-explanatory that they agree and they're going to let the family members in. I mean, I think this court, there's not going to be any journalists in there, right? I mean, I think that's what this is sounding like. There's no journalists, and it's going to be streamed only, and then they're only going to stream the portions they deem that they could do it. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that it's just being streamed. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm the channel that you're going to want to watch when it's being streamed. Because I'll be able to quickly bust out the 360-degree videos, the animation, the different 360 outside in real life, and then 360 inside the house, and then be able to move around and like analyze and figure out what the hell's going on. All right, so this is the motion in limine alternative perpetrator. So it says the state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, submits the following reply to the March 17, 2025 defendant's objection to state's motion in limine alternative perpetrator evidence. Well, there isn't one. They want to make it seem like the little tiny bit of blood they found on a rail and so forth, that's the killer. Instead of just saying, let's see, there's probably been 200 parties here in the last, couple years, and, they're probably pretty rambunctious parties, and I'm sure somebody might have nicked a finger from time to time. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't indicate that. It doesn't really indicate anything. Yeah, there's a loud thud, whimpering sound, loud thud. I mean, it could be that. I think Xana's last in any scenario that you have. Okay, so it could be that Xana I have my two theories are this: that they went inside, and you always have to use the "I'm here to help you." All right. So the first one is they came in. He came inside. He goes upstairs, and he gets into the house probably at like 4:10. Goes upstairs, kills. Expects Madison to be alone, but then there's Kaylee, and then it sort of was harder than he thought. A little struggle. And in this instance, he left the knife sheath there accidentally. Then they go down the stairs. He goes down the stairs, and that's when he hears Xana say, "Hey, there's somebody here," or something to that effect, where he's about to come down the stairs. And then that's Xana kind of running back to the room as she sees this guy coming down the stairs. Then that person follows Xana to the room and attacks both Xana and Ethan. And he believes that he has killed both of them, but then realizes, hell, where the hell's my knife sheath? Then he goes back upstairs to look for the knife sheath, but couldn't find it quickly, and he goes, I got to get the hell out of here. Then he goes down the stairs, and he hears a whimpering sound in the area where Xana was. And then he goes towards the room and sees her maybe just barely standing up, and he says, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." Trying to, make her think it's somebody else this time. And then he walks up to her and he kills her, obviously probably stabs her some more. Then she falls to the ground, there's a thud sound, and then he exits the house through the sliding glass door, and then Murphy the dog, perhaps up on Kaylee's balcony, is barking at him. How does that one sound? That one sounds pretty good, right? Do you know you guys were still only currently at 1/10 of the goal tonight? That's like my spiel that I told you guys didn't have any meaning. All right, so here is the second theory, is that he comes into the house again, probably at like 4:10 or 4:11, and maybe Xana is just sort of in the kitchen dropping off the DoorDash bag, and sort of sees somebody coming down and says, "Hey, there's somebody here." And then she starts heading towards her room, but Kohberger picked up on that and followed them. Followed, Xana back to the room, and that's where the first two people were attacked, Xana and Ethan. So they're believed to be dead by Kohberger by, like 4:12 or 13 or something. And that's why her TikTok stopped at around 4:12. So then he goes upstairs to his original target, Madison Mogan, and then there's Kaylee, and then it got really difficult. It's like another battle, but he ended up killing Madison and Kaylee, and then he left the knife sheath there intentionally as a calling card, or a something to say, I was here. And then he goes down the stairs, and then when he goes down the stairs, he hears Xana again making noises and says, "Hey, it's okay, I'm here to help you." And then attacks her, there's a thud, and then he exits, and then that's when Dylan Mortensen sees him in both scenarios with the bushy eyebrows. And goes out the sliding glass door. Isn't that crazy? What do you think of that? Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, I don't think he doubled back. I think the girl's first. All right. Well, he must have had to go back upstairs to look for his knife. That's doubling back, isn't it? Because that's why he would say, that doesn't make any sense. The second one, if he killed Madison and Kaylee first, he had to double back to go upstairs and look for the knife, to then be coming back down again and say, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." Because there's no way in hell that, there's no way in hell you're just going to say that to somebody you're attacking the first time. "It's okay, I'm here to help you." That's like, Looney Tune stuff to believe somebody would say that. So it had to have gone upstairs and looked for the knife, perhaps, and then couldn't find it, and then came back down and said, "It's okay, I'm here to help you," because you wouldn't say that to somebody who hadn't been what? I don't know what you're talking about. How do you know he looked for the sheath? Didn't you hear someone else say it was another killer's tactic? I don't know. I don't know what that means, man. I have no idea what that I have no idea what that means. That's just my theory, that he went to look for the knife sheath because he goes downstairs, and that's when he realizes that Xana hasn't been injured and says, hey, it's okay, I'm here to help you. You're not going to say that to somebody who's just sitting there eating a DoorDash. You know? They'd be like, help me with what? Right. Mm-hmm. How come there's somebody trying to call? I don't get it. Should I try and answer? I don't even know if it works. Hey, who's this? Hello? That was weird. I don't know. Can anybody come up? Give me another reason why he'd say, it's okay, I'm here to help you, other than that he'd already attacked the person and injured them. Can anybody come up with something? I mean, I guess it's possible he attacked somebody in the room and then went out in the hall, and then he came back pretending he was somebody that, you know, just that simple.
Keep up the great work, Ray.
Let's see. Hey, thanks, Yorkshire Tea. Appreciate it. Yes, you can what? Let's have full sentences, everybody. That'd be awesome. No, he wasn't saying that. He was trying to make her at ease, thinking he was a person helping, so she wouldn't scream and then attack her. I mean, that's the only reason somebody would say that, right? Because you're trying to keep them calm so they don't react while you're heading over towards them. I mean, that's what makes sense to me. I don't know if there's something that makes more... what I'm telling you makes the most sense. Whether that is what happened, I don't know. I mean, you can come up with something that's less logical, and it won't be... you know, it'll be less likely, for sure. Reassure that he wasn't going to do something bad, so she didn't. But why would she think he was going to do something bad? I mean, that's what I'm saying. You only say that to somebody and why would you need to help her if there's nothing to help her with? Don't you get it? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what that... I don't understand. I don't understand that. Maybe try to explain it better or something. Let's see. For him to want to commit the murders quietly, it's interesting to me that Murphy wasn't an initial deterrent to him. Yeah, because Murphy looks like an absolute monster of a dog, man. Whenever I look at Murphy, I look so scared. Those kind of dogs just lick you to death. I mean, they don't even... Mm-hmm. Right. Why wouldn't you just say, hey, I'm just looking for my friend, one of my friends that lives here? I mean, why say I'm here to help you, I guess? If, you know, you'd have to, I guess if you thought that, I don't know, man. I can't think of a rational way that I'm here to help you could be said other than somebody's already injured and you're trying to keep them calm and reassuring like you're saying. But what was the... And thanks up there, Amber, and who was that? Yorkshire Tea. And there's Amber Maiden and Michelle H. Which I guess that's it. I don't know. That's how I look at it. See, what I'm saying is the most likely. There could be some weird other thing. Maybe he didn't actually even say that's what she thought he said. Or maybe it's some other reason. I'm just doing, like if you were going to say, out of these options, which one's most likely for somebody to say, it's okay, I'm here to help you. I think that's the one I'm picking. Now, it could be, you know, maybe that's 70%. Maybe there's a 30% that's some other reason. And maybe you'll be right on something like that. Anybody who's theorizing. But that's kind of how I work through these cases, is just pick the thing that's most logical. You know, and then for me to think that, okay, the reason he would say that to Xana would be that he already had injured her before, and not at that in that same moment in time. Like, he would have had to have attacked her, and then to make that make sense would be like, okay, maybe that's when he went upstairs to look for the knife, and then he goes back downstairs, and that's when you hear that. But he might not have gone upstairs to look for the knife. She could have been, let's say, he goes in and attacks Ethan first or something, and then, you know, or maybe Xana first, then Ethan, and then he's sort of walking away, and then, you know, maybe he's starting to head up the stairs, and then he hears, maybe that's what Dylan saw. Maybe he partially goes up the stairs and then hears Xana's still awake, and then goes right back, and then he pretends that he's somebody there. He hadn't even gone upstairs yet. So how about that one? But that would be with the Xana Ethan first theory. I guess you could do that if you went upstairs first, and maybe he's just going to leave at this point, and then he turns around, and then he hears Xana make the noise, and then goes back really quick. I don't know. I'm just trying to. Also use those exact words on Vic. Oh, you mean like he's copying? Yeah, remember that one? Who was the one guy that said something about, did you arrest anybody else? That was another thing that criminal had said at one point. So maybe he is just saying something like, I mean, that would be really interesting. And then wouldn't you think, though, then if that is true, Zozo, that he is repeating Gacy's the one that said that. If he's literally repeating other phrases serial killers used, but I mean, what's weird about it is did he expect anybody to hear it, to repeat, oh my God, he said these things? But if he's going to do that, then doesn't it seem likely then that he would leave a calling card? Because that's a serial killer thing to do. Or calling card, or what was the other word? Like I can't remember. All right, everybody, hit that like button. All right, hit the like button. It's really easy. We only got 246. Hit that like button right now. Hit that like button. 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yes, signature. 50, 55, 60. Hit that like button. 10, 20. Use your nose, use your toes, whatever blows. Hit that like button. Pretty easy, you guys. Pretty simple to do. Gray, that's just not nice. Here's the thing. I don't understand. If you're out there and you think Kohberger's innocent, I don't have respect for your opinion. Okay? Because there's nothing in the documents or anywhere out there that points to Kohberger being not guilty. There is nothing in anywhere out there that shows that he couldn't be the person. Okay? Do you understand that? So it doesn't make any sense. You might be a really smart person in other things that you do, but not here. I'm not doing a poll. And it always ends up being 20% the other way anyways, just for the troll factor that watches. It's always opposite of anything that I say. Hello, Karen. No, but it didn't say hi to me. Jeez. Thanks a lot, Karen. You're mean. Karen's mean, I'm telling you. I don't want to read it, Julia. Let's see. Friendly reminder, I don't even know who you're talking about. Is that some person out there that had a theory? Oh, okay. Well, that kind of makes some sense. And, okay, I did go up and see it. and CP said, I have a theory. Xana was in the bathroom. BK killed Ethan. And then Xana came into the room and gets upset about Ethan. BK says, I'm here. It's okay. I'm here to help, is what he said. And then attacks her. Like he's saying to her, it's okay. I'm actually here helping him. Right? That'd be a strange comment to make. Almost as if, like, she wouldn't realize, wait, I was in the bathroom for 30 seconds. I mean, why would you be here? How would you be even knowing to be here to help? Yeah, I see what you're saying, though. I mean, that's not a horrendous theory or anything. Oh, okay, Karen. The defense rarely defends its clients until the trial. No, I think he's going to... I actually think there's a chance in this case that he's going to try to get a plea deal at some point. But hopefully the prosecution won't allow it. Maybe she was downstairs getting the DoorDash. No, that can't be that. Because the DoorDash was right around 4, right? And Kohberger got into the house at like 4:09 or 4:10 or something. Just take death. I don't know. I think the plea deal would be just, well, if you can't plead to take the death penalty off the table. I mean, then what's the point? Why would the state do that? That's not bargaining. It would be him to confess to what he did, and there won't be a trial, and he won't get the death penalty. Is that what you're saying? Maybe that's what you're... Yeah, like a plea deal for him to take the death penalty off the table, but there's no trial. Hey, thanks, RDW. I don't want it to be that, because I want to see all the elements of the case. Hopefully they would do something where they would come out and tell everybody what the reality was. That would be pretty cool. Why would they accept a plea deal? Right. That's exactly right. There's no reason to. I think he is just absolutely toast. Hey, thanks Wendy Woobles for the coffee. And then we also had Raylan on a Cash App. Oh, and look at that. We have Joshua with a Venmo. That's cool. Thanks, guys. All right, let me get through this one. This is the alternative perpetrator evidence. Although the defendant purports to object to the state's motion and asks that the court deny the same, in truth, the defendant appears to substantively concur with the legal standards. That word is one of the hardest words for me to say, man. I don't know what it is. It's crazy. With the legal standards articulated by the state in support of its instant motion. Let's see. Consequently, the court should grant the state's motion and enter an order prohibiting the defendant from offering an alternative perpetrator evidence or argument without first satisfying the court that such evidence is relevant and admissible under IRE 401, 402, 403, and State versus Meister. Under the authority of Meister, which cites approvingly to State versus Self 139, blah, 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 the defendant proffered or offer of proof must include evidence specifically connecting persons, right? The nexus, just like in the Delphi case when they tried to do the Odinist theory, Ron Logan, etc. Nobody could, they couldn't prove that they were at the crime scene. And then other than the defendant to the homicides, recognizing that mere interference that other person could have committed the crime will most likely not be relevant, and if relevant, will still be subject to the limitation provisions. The state further requests that the court set a reasonable deadline for the defendant to make any proffer offers of proof regarding alternative perpetrator.
You mean like Brett Kopaka or the cartels and all those people?
Of proof regarding alternative perpetrator evidence or arguments sufficiently prior to trial, so the issues can be fully reviewed by the court. Right. So you can't just wait till the last minute and try to throw something out there. Well, heck, Joshua, thanks for another Venmo. Let's see. Yeah, so forget that one. Okay, this is the Alibi one. This is one of the ones we want to see. This is the response by the state again. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney and submits the following reply to the March 17, 2025 defendant's objection to state's motion in limine regarding Alibi. The defendant's objection response to the state's motion offers nothing new. Yeah, exactly. Or substantively different. In fact, defendant appears now to acknowledge that he does not have any witnesses, potentially other than himself, to establish where the defendant was at the time of the alleged offense, as required by... I don't think the prosecution should have ever had to hand over any cell phone data or anything until he came up with an alibi. Because I think it sucks that a defendant can just keep, okay, no, yeah, I don't have an alibi, but you're waiting for the ping information so that you can come up with something to try to weave it in, to try to tailor your alibi to the state's information, where you should actually know it without having that information. Let's see. In fact, the defendant appears, we just read that, partial corroboration does not cover the time alleged in the state's charging documents or any affidavit in support of, let's see, let me read this part again. In fact, the defendant appears to now acknowledge that he does not have any witnesses, potentially other than himself, to establish where the defendant was at the time of the alleged offense, as required by Idaho Code 19519. Partial corroboration does not cover the time alleged in the state's charging documents or any affidavit in support of state's reply to the defendant's objection to state motion in limine, alibi, searching and seizing Mr. Kohberger's person or property. Let's see. Right here it says, at best, the witness mentioned by the defendant, Ray, can only testify, he's a witness, generally to his opinion about where the defendant was during the early morning of November 13, 2022. Based on the evidence, see, here's the thing, is they're going to get Ray in here, basically a quack, in my opinion. They're going to get him in here, and he's going to try to figure out a way to sort of make him somewhere else, by the ping information, just kind of creatively coming up with something. And then we're going to be asked to believe that there was another 2015 to 2016 white Elantra missing a front license plate that happened to be at 1122 King Road, where his white Elantra was somewhere else, and then just by some absolute miracle inside of the time that 2015 white Elantra was parked outside of 1122 King Road at 4:08 and then driving away at a high rate of speed at 4:20 and 47 seconds, that somehow, in some miracle, inside of that time frame, a knife sheath was left on Madison Mogan's bed, a knife sheath, by the way, that was purchased by Kohberger off of Amazon, that somehow, just miraculously, his DNA happened to be on that while his car is way over there, and we're supposed to believe that the white Elantra parked outside with no front license plate wasn't his. Does that make any sense to anybody? Yes, that's right. He's the most unlucky person on the planet. All right, we'll try it again, everybody. If you're out there and if you have the ability to help support the Grant Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. We got the Buy Me a Coffees, the Super Chats, the whatever the hell you want to do. Yeah. Let's see. At best, okay, then it says, based on the above and the extensive history of repeated attempts to get the defendant to comply with the disclosure requirements of Idaho Code, the court should enter an order prohibiting the defendant from presenting any evidence other than from the defendant himself, whether by direct or cross-examination, in support of any claimed alibi regarding the specific place or places at which the defendant claims to have been at the time of the alleged offense, as required by the referenced statute and court rule, and as directed by the Honorable John Judge, February 23rd, 2024, orders setting deadlines in hearing, and as discussed in the state's April 26, 2024 response, notice defendant supplemental response, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I think they shouldn't allow him to have an alibi unless he says it himself. He needs to get up there and have one. You know, I guess he could come up there and, you know, why couldn't he get up on the stand and say what his alibi was? And then you could have your buddy Cy Ray back what you say up, you know? But you can't get past the inescapable logic that there was the 2015 to 2016 white Elantra missing a front license plate was 1/3 of a mile heading in the same exact direction that another, you know, vehicle matching the description, you know, the overall look, you know, comes back behind 1122 King Road. There's almost no other, and it's exactly the amount of time too. So it's one of those things. This is where there's inescapable logic where Kohberger can't get out of, and for some reason there's a lot of people that just don't see it. Joshua said, but Gray, it was the frat and 200 law enforcement got it all wrong. Right.
Your hard work, Ray. 100 emoji.
Let's see. Thanks, Strawberry Season. And by the way, like, Zozo always keeps me on my toes about my theories, right? Like, I have one that I'm really theorizing about. She always throws out something, and then I have to like read what she writes. I don't know what it is, but I always try to find her comments because it's like that should mean something, though. You know, I'm always looking for them. You know, and off the air, she always wants to just punch me in the face. So that's all right. Hey, thanks, Big Girl Life. Appreciate it. Doesn't seem like BK was sneaky or quiet or hesitant. He didn't peek in. He went in and was rather in a rush. Well, you know what? Put a 1 in the comment section if you haven't gone to my channel and seen the videos that I've made that show you how much time even 7 minutes is. 7 minutes is you're just sitting there going, oh God, and you're picturing what was going on, and you're just like, okay, move on to the next room now. It's a lot of time, especially somebody that's jacked up, has a K-bar knife, and then the other people are, let's see, and they're all like been drinking and sleepy. So you got this other person who's amped up. He's like, yo, I got to do this. I mean, my God, I think he could have committed these murders in less than, like, right around 4 or 5 minutes, man. It doesn't need to be this long thing like everybody says. He's just hustling back and forth to different rooms. And we also know that he parked his car at 408. Obviously, he probably got out of his car, put some plastic bags and things getting ready for him to come back to the car. So he probably didn't even get into the house till maybe 4:10. First killings are probably done by 4:12 or 4:13, matching the time that maybe Xana quit using TikTok after she heard the noises. Like, she was using TikTok and heard the noises, at like 4:12 and like says, "Hey, there's somebody here," and then he comes down and then, but again, 5 minutes to kill Xana and Ethan is just a ridiculous amount of time. Yeah, you guys got to go check out the those videos that I've made on that. It's just really obvious, like, okay. But people always say, how could one person do this? Yeah, it's impossible. And it's just, that it's almost illogical to say that. Yeah, I know, exactly. Walk around your house for 7 minutes.
You are great. Your car graphics last night. A-OK hand emoji.
Hey, did you see what, here's the update on that, by the way. Here's the, I'll just do it kind of quick, though. Look. Here, look. There's the Elantra right there. This is at Indian Hills Drive. It's going to drive around like this. And take a right. I think that's Steiner. And then right there goes by the A&W. Then passes the Ridge Road, 1125 Ridge Road. 2 cameras. Ding, ding. Got it. Then comes around. Now you're on Taylor Avenue. It pulls in on King Road. East on Queen. Goes back behind 500 Queen Road. Just passes number 52 over there. Then comes around and then parks right there. Right there. What do you think of that? Isn't that cool? So that's just the first half of loop 1. So I'm going to do the whole damn thing, and it's going to be real time. But I'm going to put out each part as its own video, and then with my dialogue talking. And then at the very end, I'll put one out that has the entire night looping around. How's that sound? Yeah. That took like 12 hours to render all these. Takes like 5 seconds a frame, and there's 9,000 frames, or maybe 4 seconds. It's crazy. Yeah, so there you go. Got that, and then... And if you're not a channel member here, guys, you should become a channel member. Become one of the freaks, you know. You got your little emojis that you can use, etc. All right, comes now the state of Idaho by... This is the notice of intent. Something about evidence. This is 5 pages, though. Let's see what it says. The state is given notice of its intent to present evidence of an August 21st, 2022 contact between Latah County Sheriff Deputy Darren Duke and the defendant. Okay, so that was a couple months prior. That's interesting. Ooh, look at that. Zozo, 61 months. I forgot what that picture was. What the hell was that again? What was that damn thing? Yeah. Can't remember. 61 months, man. That's 5 years of hell for you. Thank you. Oh, the barbarian. All right, here we go. The state is given notice of intent to present evidence of an August 21st, 2022 contact between Latah County Sheriff Deputy Darren Duke and Bryan Kohberger. The contact occurred as a result of Deputy Duke conducting a traffic stop on a vehicle that was exceeding the posted speed limit. The driver of the vehicle was Bryan Kohberger. During the course of this contact, Mr. Kohberger provided the following information to Deputy Duke: his name, date of birth, where he lived, and his telephone number. And this is, obviously before the murders. Nobody knew anything, who he was or anything. Deputy Duke also identified the defendant's Honda Elantra and license and registration. Although Mr. Kohberger was stopped for exceeding the posted speed limit, Deputy Duke elected to only issue an infraction citation. I didn't get such luck. A quadruple killer doesn't get a ticket, but when I was there and I drove, I think it was 36 and a 25, I got a ticket. Thank you. Serial killers are the only ones that get a deal, you know. Although Mr. Kohberger was stopped for exceeding the posted speed limit, Deputy Duke elected to only issue an infraction citation for failing to use his seatbelt. So he didn't have a seatbelt and he was speeding. The purpose of the state offering this evidence is to prove Mr. Kohberger's admissions and acknowledgments to his identity, address, phone number, and vehicle. The state is not asserting that the reason for the stop, exceeding the posted limit, nor the defendant's failure to use his seatbelt are crimes or wrongs. That proves his identity. Rather, the state is only offering the defendant admissions and acknowledgments of his identity, address, phone number, and vehicle ownership. Thanks, Melanie Summer.
Thank you for the intelligent, logical content.
Well, thank you. In his objection to this evidence, the defendant conflates the use of 404B evidence to infer identity based on prior conduct similar to the charged offense with direct evidence of defendant's identity. A traffic stop for speeding and a citation for failing to use his seatbelt have no connection to the offense charged in this case. The cases cited by a defendant are all deal with efforts by the prosecution to offer evidence of prior criminal acts for the purpose of proving the defendant committed the act charged in the case. As such, those cases are inapplicable to the purpose of the state's offer of the evidence. The evidence the state wishes to offer related to the contact between Deputy Duke and defendant may actually fall outside the scope of Route 404 because he's, as stated above, the state is not offering evidence of the defendant's acts exceeding the speed limit. Okay, I mean, I think I know what they're getting at here. They're just wanting, well, they want to use it. They're not trying to imply that the act of speeding and the not wearing the seatbelt have anything to do with the case itself. They're merely using it to identify, you know, in Kohberger's own words, saying who he is. That's it. And who would even do that anyways? Like, if somebody said, oh, he got a speeding ticket, oh my God, he must be a killer. Yeah, that doesn't even, oh my God, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt? Shit, yeah, he could kill 4 people. That doesn't make any sense, right? It's kind of obvious. The defense is trying to keep it out of there because you got Kohberger in his own words, and likely, wouldn't that be interesting in the same video if when he's walking up to the car, there's no front license plate, and they're going to kind of just sneak that in there. Hey, officer, did you notice that the car didn't have a front license plate when you walked up there? Okay, yeah, thank you. Now, what was the purpose of this stop? Yeah, you get that, you sneak that in, like a little side move there, just kind of. The evidence of the defendant's identity, residence and telephone number, and vehicle ownership are directly relevant. The probative value of the defendant's identity, location of his residence, telephone number upon which substantial cell phones and other digital evidence connects the defendant, at least circumstantially, to the crimes, and vehicle matching the description of the vehicle seen and near the scene of the homicides and fleeing at a high rate of speed immediately following the time of the homicides is substantial. By contrast, even if the jury hears the reason for the stop, speeding, and the infraction, failing to use seatbelt, there is minimal prejudice at best, and certainly nothing rising to IRE 403. Exactly, because nobody in the world would assign no seatbelt or speeding a little bit to have anything to do with a murder that happens 3.5 months later. It doesn't even prove somebody is there's nothing that proves at all related to that. All right, guys, so I'm going to have to do some Dance a Jig tonight again, apparently. With 883 people. It's sure slow, I can tell you that. If the court determines that the reason for the traffic stop and or issuance of the infraction seatbelt citation are improperly prejudicial, then the defendant admissions to Deputy Duke should still be admitted without referencing specifically. Yeah, like you wouldn't say to the officer, and why did you pull over Bryan Kohberger? You would just say, did you have the opportunity to, or wait, let's see. Did you have, on this occasion, did you pull over Bryan Kohberger? And he'd say, yes, I did. And when you spoke to Bryan Kohberger, did he give you any information about who he was specifically? Yes, he did. And then he played this whole thing. And then at the end, he said, "Well, thank you very much." You don't get to say why, why he was pulled over, anything like that. Well, if I go to jail, it'll be because I did something mean. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake. It's just wild, though, you guys. We're still at like 1/3 of a goal tonight. Who's Running Bear? Are you okay? You seem kind of delirious. Let's see. I missed a few days due to personal stuff going on. Has Gray gone over his brain scans or on documents yet? I don't know if those came in. They might be in these documents right here. I'm just reading the ones from today. But I think that would probably be one of the most boring things in the world to, unless you're an actual, like, into that stuff. Unless it was written in a way that was just totally... Hey, thanks, Shelley Hall. And Sandy Shirley gifted a membership to Nan. Let's see. Well, if he tries to dodge the death penalty, Zozo, I think that's what he'll have to plead to dodge the death penalty. But I don't think any of the family members want him to get off on that. I mean, Bryan Kohberger is a stone cold killer who deserves the death penalty. All right, and doesn't everybody agree? Even you people out there that don't think he did it, if it turns out that he did do it, don't you agree that he should get the death penalty? I don't, Gray. You see, because it could have been Brent Kopak, and what he did was he had Kohberger hold a knife sheath one day, and so he borrowed his car too that night? Whew, wow, that's amazing. And by the way, this is iced tea, not whiskey, all right? If that was whiskey, I'd be completely out of it in like 5 minutes. Hello, my father's alibi. Linda Howell.
On alley cakes, ocean wave emoji.
Thank you. What would be an interesting one? It's just, I mean, this whole thing about it's a cartel hit. What? How do you come up with this stuff? Well, because don't you see, Gray, Xana's mom and Dylan's mom or whoever it was, they have problems with some drug issues and so forth. So of course at that point, really? Wow, that's insane. I don't know, Truth Sleuth. Are you gonna call in? All right, so that was the testimony regarding the officer who bumped into him in August and pulled him over for speeding and not wearing a seatbelt. Probably pulled him over for speeding and then noticed he didn't have a seatbelt. Thank you, wise child. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think people would probably say that she worded it that way, but maybe they could make it sound like what Ann Taylor was saying was something like, so the vehicle, yeah, I mean, she didn't word it right, though, because she definitely said it that way. But maybe she meant to say that the documents, the FBI or whoever the person analyzing the vehicle, that was the one that they saw that had no license plate, and they knew it was a white Elantra, and that's where they identified, but she actually says, like, his vehicle, implied that they identified his vehicle the way she said that. She literally said it was his vehicle, and the reason we know that she's admitting that it's his vehicle is this, that right after that, she explained how, but there's no link to the other ones. Why would you do that? Remember how she said there's no links to the other videos? Why would you do that unless you are admitting that that first car was yours? Because why would it matter, right? I think that's a good way to look at that. She's admitting that that's his car because of her follow-up comments saying, well, there was no linkage to the other footage, so that was a third of a mile away, so how do we know, All right, you guys, we're now at 1/3 of the goal tonight. Man, it's like pulling teeth. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of trolls. Yeah, well, that's probably what the largest number of people in here tonight are just trolls, right? Hey, let's do a poll. Here, let's do a poll here. There you go. Let's see. Zozo will generally answer an affirmative and something like that just to throw it off. So there you go. We got some no's in here, but I want everybody to try to be as honest as possible. All right. And so if there's 800 people watching, 10% would be 80 something. We're almost at 20%. So that would be 160. I mean, look at that. We've got 102 votes, 103. So that means out of that, there's at least 14 trolls in here. But I'm just going to extrapolate it out over the entire the total number of 889. Mm-hmm. All right, well, we got up to 12%. That just shows you right there. All right, anyways, I'm going to end the poll. It's kind of boring. You're more of an ogre? Yeah. I can see that. That's not nice, Gray. You know, we had somebody in the chat last night. She just went nuts. Like, I wasn't even paying attention. It was somebody about the DoorDash delivery. And I was saying, yeah, she ordered it. Because I think it's just common sense that she ordered it, right? That's kind of what they're saying when they say that she got a DoorDash delivery. Do you need to say, well, Xana got a DoorDash delivery that she ordered? I mean, it just sounds weird to add that in there. So for me, it's just kind of common sense sort of thing. I mean, I guess it's possible. And then that person, after the show was over, just went on this long diatribe in my emails and made 2 short videos. And, it was just pretty weird stuff. Yeah. I didn't even know who this person was. I barely even saw a comment for more than 10 seconds. Because remember last night? What was I doing last night on the show, you guys? I'm sitting there meticulously trying to animate a model. I don't even know how somehow I saw something on the screen for 10 seconds. Yeah. So this one is the state's reply to defendant's reply to state's opposition to motion in limine regarding excluding IGG evidence. Comes now to state of Idaho by and through Latah County prosecuting attorney and submits the following reply to the March 17, 2025 defendant's reply to state's opposition to motion of limine. This state will be meeting with its prosecution and investigation team to identify who will testify about the receipt of a tip on or about December 19, 2022, and the subsequent actions taken by the investigators and the state and advise court and counsel. It is unclear what the defendant means in its last sentence of his reply, since this testimony will be sanitized for presentation to the jury to avoid the IGG process. It must also not falsely suggest there was any other evidence or tip that led the state to Mr. Kohberger. There is substantial evidence gathered both prior to the tip and subsequently leading to Mr. Kohberger being the person responsible for the November 13, 2022 homicides and burglary. The state will certainly not falsely produce or refer to this other evidence, but will rely on all of this evidence at trial to establish the defendant's guilt. Yeah, I mean, the whole IGG thing is so obvious and simple. Yes, the FBI did use sort of, it's not illegal to do what they did, where they used a larger database and they found a name doing that and they gave a tip. Just like, you know what, we think it could be this guy. And then law enforcement, after that, was able to, they started putting the pieces together. Okay, Bryan Kohberger, oh, look at this. He has a white Elantra. He was even, 2 officers at WSU actually went over and saw the vehicle. Okay, well, that's interesting. And prior to that, the FBI had already identified it being a 2011 to 2013 white Elantra. But likely when Kohberger's name came up, they went, you know what, that actually could still be a 2014, 15, and 16. We were mistaken when we limited it to that because you could actually replace the same windows in all 6 of those years. But oh no! Man, if you're the FBI, you do not have the right to change anything. You're stuck. Because as soon as they said, we think this is the 2011 to 2013 white Elantra, you can never adjust that, you guys. Because it hurts their client. So therefore, you can never adjust it. All right, since I'm not dancing a jig tonight, if you're out there and you want to help support the channel, become a channel member or send in super chats. We got the coffees right here. This allows me to keep doing the shows. We I don't know, you guys. I already explained it all. It's just if you can help, that'd be great. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It didn't really. What the picture he took after the murders. What does it prove? I guess. You know. That's what I was wondering about today. I was thinking about that image and it makes him look like a complete jackass. But I mean, what is it? But I mean, if they're going to claim he didn't do it, then isn't it just sort of a stupid, hey? Because it doesn't have any. There's no evidence in the image itself. Right. He thought it would be something cool to have, like, hey, I just did this. Woo! Interestingly, he took the picture right after he got home from going back to Moscow, Idaho. Don't you think that's interesting? So at 9 in the morning, he drives over there. By the time he gets back, it's around 10. And right when he gets in, he's like, good news. That's pretty weird, right? But besides that, yeah, I mean, you got the bushy eyebrows, but his driver's license already had bushy eyebrows in it. But they're going to use that picture. This is what he looked like that day. I mean, the same day he killed them. It's just later in the day. Wish I could read that one. All right, this might be one of those nights where I get tossed in prison again because this isn't working tonight. So does the prosecution know his exact route he took home? Well, they came up with a route that they believe based on cell tower information. I drove that route. It absolutely, the timing is perfect. Like literally within minutes of the time is how if you'd have to kind of cut across to do that time. There it is. Eve loves God. Yeah, Steve Gonzalez thinks it's a trophy. He said that on a show that he was on. I mean, who knows what it is, you know? I mean, it could be because he's like, you know, hey, I did it. Maybe he was going to post it with all of his other Papa Roger fans or something. Thank you, Eve Love Scott. Huh? Yeah, we've shown that a million times. You can see the house. I think when Kohberger went there that morning, if he did go anywhere near there, he just drove on Taylor Avenue, then Willanta Drive, or he just drove behind the, here, I'll show you. Yeah, let me, actually I don't have that. I can go to Street View, that'll work. Yeah, so like here's the, he could have came in like this and then drove around and then looked from right there. Because you can definitely see, yeah, I've never really tried, I don't know if I've done the Google Earth version of this. That's really full of trees. You can't tell. But I think right through there, that's actually the roof of the house. See that slant right there? That's absolutely the house through there. I don't know if there's a better, you know, this is shitty time of year to do street view there. The birthing hips. Hey, thanks, M. Morgan. I'm going to open up my 360-degree program here. Because it's pretty interesting, the view you get from up there. Nah, I don't, it's too random where he could have thrown something away. He could have actually also just taken this way longer drive and you come out about the right time. Oh, I guess I was already there. So I think this little 360-degree video that I made is going to be invaluable, like at trial when you're trying to show people stuff. Poor Genesis. That's funny. Yeah, see, there's that roof we were just looking at, that little point on there. So probably like right in there. Are we already heading back? Alright, look. So we're already walking back again. So I think at the highest point, maybe, probably about right in there. But see how you can see the house easily when you're driving? Really simple. Hey, thanks, Kim DiMaggio. You're not related to the DiMaggio, are you? Jolton Joe. Yeah, there you go. So right there, look at that view you can get. So he could have been driving around just checking to see if there's anything. Now the other view that I was going to have you take a look at, if you go to Band Field over here, that's Band Field, and this is the Sigma Chi. If you go down to Street View, pretty much like, let's see, is it right there? Oh, I mean, that's pretty crazy right there, but look, there it is. You know, I mean, just right on this road, you can see if there's any, that was weird, I don't think I've ever seen that one. But over here, if he's driving slow enough, could have even just pulled over for a moment. You know, there's probably, from over here, if you look, I don't know, maybe there. See, that right there is 500 Queen Road. So his vehicle, that when it's doing its loops, is driving right back like that, and then around, and then back up to the house, which is right there. And I think if we back up a little bit, there it is. See? So you can definitely see the house, and if there's any activity from driving around. Yeah, so a lot of different spots where you can see the house. I would bet you money he did not drive past the 1112 camera again. There's no way. If he did that and that's on camera, he is just absolutely messed up. Because that means that camera, there's no lights that are going to blow out the camera. You're going to see the front license plate missing, etc., etc., etc. Well, Gray, how do you know he just didn't hear about it and get there? Well, 911 call wasn't made. Well, maybe Dylan called. Oh, Jesus, here we go. Oh, God. Oh, he's a distant relation to your husband, huh? That's cool. Do you guys think the house made the victims the target? No. And that was never suggested. When they said the house was the target, they meant like, what were the, like everybody in it. Do you guys think the, let's see. No, the house didn't make the victims. I think he had already followed them and got obsessed with, I think Madison Mogen was the target. I used to think it was like everybody in the house, and things just got thrown off when Kaylee and Ethan were there. And that still could be a possibility, but it seems like the window there, when you're there and you look at the window, it just feels like he's looking at Madison Mogen's room. Like right there. And maybe back a little bit further. Right in here, you park the vehicle and you're just watching. You can't even see Kaylee's room because the window's on the other corner. So he's like right here waiting and watching. In fact, I believe this is where he waited each time he did the loop.
Thanks for your hard work, Gray. I feel he was targeting Madison as well.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Mark Willis. I'm getting my Old Town PDL 106 all worked out. I got all the little not bells and whistles, but the upgrade modifications. Maybe I'll catch a bass like that. Used to think it was Madison Mogen. Now I think he went to kill all the women. Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite of that. Like, I used to think he went there to kill them all. But I think, it's always possible. Like, they were all drunk and he was going to kill them all. But, if he left the knife sheath there intentionally, then maybe he just had one victim. But I think it's crazy, one that he was going to kill. And they would wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, who killed her? Everybody would be shocked. Instead, it was like mayhem in there. He lost his knife sheath, perhaps. Or he just still left it there out of his plan. I wonder what made him choose Maddie in the first place. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, so the IGG is going to be let in. It is a tip. It's complete nonsense. It doesn't matter if the FBI broke some protocols on to get the tip. It'd be like if let me just say this. Let's say some random schmo went into this website and was looking around on there and thought, oh my God, that's Kohberger. And then they told the cops, and then the cops still have to look into it. Does it make sense that it's this guy? And it did. They didn't see a guy with an Elantra and then try to pin it on him. They had already found the guy with an Elantra, and they were looking for all people driving Elantras. You know what people are still saying now? The one that was found in Oregon or whatever. They're still going, that's the real killer. My God. Thanks, Mills. All right, we got to 50%. It's a miracle. Improper death penalty comments. Let's see. The state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County. I'm not sure if you're still here. Hey, Amber, how's the thing with your wrist going? Attorney respectfully replies to the defendant's response to the state motion in limine. The state brought this motion based on defense counsel's repeated references to the state attempting to kill their client, which only serves to improperly incite the emotions of the jury. The state has a statutory right, which it has chosen to invoke to seek the death penalty. In this case, invoking the right does not open the door to use of inflammatory language in front of a jury. The state seeks an order prohibiting defense counsel from stating the state has decided to attempt to kill Mr. Kohberger, or is trying to kill one of us, phrases that have been used in previous hearings as cited in the state's motion or similar phrases. The state relied on Idaho criminal jury instruction in this motion to illustrate that such language is inappropriate during guilt phase when a juror is instructed not to concern yourself with the subject of penalty or punishment. Instructs the jurors that this is a capital case and describes the process for sentencing if the defendant is convicted of murder. The state understands the jurors will be advised this is a capital case, and it is in no way suggesting that this fact be withheld from the jurors. But this fact should not permit defense counsel to characterize this statutory right in any manner they want. Right, I get that. You know, you don't get to go out there and say, hey, look at these guys over there trying to kill this guy. They're trying to kill him. You know, you can't say that. You can say, hey, you know, you can bring up just the fact that he has the death penalty, but you can't use inflammatory language. All right. Hey, would you guys hit that like button for me really quick? Also, hit the subscribe button right now. And then hit that notification bell while you're at it. Who's wearing, then we would need a trial. Yeah. I was a juror in... oh, look at Ted Bundy. Look at you guys. If Ted Bundy can support my channel, can't you guys? It should be pretty easy if a serial killer has the ability to. I think some of the rest of you could as well. All right, thank you. Oh, another one from, let's see, Joshua, who said, nothing said. Then we've got Ann with a buy me a coffee, and Ted Bundy, for God's sakes. Man. Ted Bundy. Yeah, right. That's exactly right, Amber. That's what I was saying. If Ted Bundy can do it, everybody can. Is that the... I found one that was 14 pages long. Which one is this one? Yeah, we already saw that one. Is it this one? Oh, yeah. I must have missed this one. This is regarding self-authentication of records. Here, let's do the Chat GPT summarization. See if it's worth digging into. Please summarize this PDF in great detail. And then it'll say, sure, upload it. And I'm going to put it in. And it's now reading it. Boom. And here we go. There it is.
The document you provided is a detailed legal filing by the defense team of Bryan Kohberger, objecting to the state of Idaho's motion in Lemeen regarding the self-authentication of records in his criminal case. It was filed in Ada County, Idaho on March 21, 2025, by Ann Taylor and other defense attorneys. Overview of the defense's objection. Legal basis for objection. The defense argues that the state's motion violates Mr. Kohberger's constitutional rights under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho Constitution. Idaho Rules of Evidence IR, specifically Rules 401, 402, 403, 803.6, and 803.8. They assert that the state has not provided proper certifications, affidavits of authenticity, for most of the evidence it seeks to introduce. The state is trying to admit massive volumes of records without identifying relevance or authentication, making it impossible for the defense to prepare. Breakdown of records challenged by the defense. The defense disputes the admissibility of terabytes of surveillance video, financial data, digital records, and more, citing missing certifications and lack of relevance. Key examples.
There we go. They want to try to get rid of 1320 and 1330 Linda Lane. Not a chance, man. Those are huge. But you got to try it, I guess, right? 1320 and 1330 Linda Lane, Albertsons, Bagel Shop, Costco, Corner Club, Cafe Artista, E&S Services, Farmer Insurance, Floyd Cannabises. That's one I'm curious about. Like, when was that? No indication of what part of the footage the state will use or how it qualifies under hearsay exception. Let's see. Then also financial records, Amazon, multiple family members involved, incomplete records, Bank of America, Banner Bank, Discovery, PayPal, Venmo, Wells Fargo, Umpqua, Elon, Numerica, but whatever, all these different ones. And then the defense redacted, complete, or unverified. And here it says phone, AT&T, Verizon, DoorDash, TikTok. The state hasn't verified which records it will present or how they... Well, why do I have to tell you how what they're going to use? What their strategy is? That's kind of dumb. LaSalle University, thousands of disorganized documents. WSU, parking and vehicle records, highly complex data sets. Defense, no clarity on use, relevance, or authentication, especially for protected education records. Law enforcement materials, Latah County Sheriff body cam and citation, inadmissible under IRE 803. Corner Club receipts, Walmart, Target, TJX, no indication of what is relevant or how they're authenticated. The defense highlights that some evidence was obtained via both search warrant and grand jury subpoena, leading to inconsistencies in production. The defense submits a subpoena copy that was inadvertently provided by the state and questions how these processes were used.
The document you
I'm going to read that one.
Overbreadth and vagueness, the state's motion seeks a blanket approval for all records, without specificity. Due process violation, the defense cannot prepare for trial without knowing what evidence will be used and how it is authenticated. Hearsay and relevance issues, many documents don't qualify under hearsay exceptions and aren't shown to be relevant. Certification missing or faulty. Required affidavits for self-authentication are either missing, incomplete, or inconsistent with the materials provided. Final request. The defense urges the court to deny the state's motion until the prosecution specifies each record's purpose, proves relevance under IRE, and provides proper certification for admissibility. Would you like a version of this in bullet point format or a shorter executive summary?
That's fine. I don't know if you can hear me. I guess if I hit that button and I said, yeah, that's fine. So it actually gets specific down here. Video surveillance. Maybe this has specific information we can add in. So the Linda Lane surveillance footage for November 13, 2022. Hard drive provided. 1330 Linda Lane surveillance footage. Hard drive provided. And then it says, these surveillance video, it says hard drive provided on 4/5/2022. Hey, Ann Taylor, the crime hadn't even been committed yet. You might want to change that to 2023, but you put 2022. Don't let anybody know that I told you that, but these surveillance videos contained in the folder are 2 videos from the same viewpoint. They are each a 1-hour time block. Counsel has located in discovery video footage from the 2 cameras that are between 8 and 9 gigabytes of data. This data runs in numerous clips of varying lengths with an approximate total of 12 and a half hours. The state has not... Why don't you just look at it? You know what times are relevant.
Challenge 1.00 if you can.
All right, so Linda Howell is challenging everybody to help support my channel with $1. For some reason, tonight's one of those nights where we're struggling. So if you guys have the ability to do that, that'd be awesome. Because it all's the same thing. Because we're still not there. But look at Linda Howell, or you know, one of the nicest people on the planet. She's trying to get you guys to do that. Could you at least do it for her, if not for me? Come on, you guys. Jesus. Gonna be a lot of reading at the end. Jessica Schubach, Moofies, M. Morgan, Karen Morrison. For My Country. What movie was that? You'll do it for me. Oh yeah, it was True Lies. Remember Bill Paxton? He was like, "Would you do it for your country?" Ah, jeez, that was funny. Thanks, Hannah, UK, and Allie Cake, and Karen, and Ann Morgan, and Moofies, and Jessica. And sadly, it'll probably fizzle out. That's how it works. It's weird. Yeah, well, I'm not, the thing is on here, I'm not asking anybody who can't afford it. Like, if you're somebody who's struggling or whatever, I just want, you know, I'm trying to, on a nightly basis, I'm trying to get support for the channel, so we can keep doing all the stuff. We've got a, you know, a scholarship to fund again this year, etc. Hey, thanks, Sandy, for the coffee. I mean, do you know any other YouTube true crime channels that give scholarships out to students? Do you know any other YouTube channels that fully fund many DNA projects, putting $100,000 into that fund? Other than this one? Yeah, let's see. No, I'm not. How could I be one? I'm just, I donate to 501c3s. I'm a YouTube channel. It's you know that. I've said that 1,000 times. I'm just wanting support for my channel, but I also give away a lot of the support, as you've seen over the years. $235,000. All verified, every nickel. I actually found 811 more, believe it or not, like to add to the total. My numbers for last year were off by $811. How that happened, I don't know. Lucy Murphy says, get on with it. Can somebody time that person out? Thank you very much. And whenever you have somebody that talks like that in here, like Lucy Murphy, who said, "Get on with it," those are somebody that will never make it here. They have no chance of ever being a viable community member. Yeah, there's no chance in hell. Because if you start off like that right out of the gate, there isn't a chance in hell. Nor will I try to tailor my show to make you feel better. All right? All right. That's the reality. Thanks, RDW, WDR. Yeah, wasn't that just ridiculous? Get on with it, man. All right. I think I'm going to go through the details on this, though. This looks kind of interesting. And then the Albertsons-Clarkston video surveillance records for November 13th. This is a surveillance recording that is 3 gigabytes in size. The file contains multiple views that cover about 2-hour time block. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the videos were made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity. Jeez. I mean, it's just... Thanks, K-Me and self-esteem. Come on, Gray, get on with it, you bastard. Amazon financial and user records for Bryan Kohberger. Contains an Excel spreadsheet with information and categories for subscription information and order history for an Amazon account. AV-243 contains Mr. Kohberger's father account records and purchase history. These records list purchases for the entire family. AV-398 contains subscription history, click activity, and sign-in history for the Amazon account Mr. Kohberger. And then 832 contains police report from Michael Douglas. Wow, what's he doing there? Hey, thanks, Mark Willis.
Gray, if BK manages a plea deal, would he then have to admit guilt and tell them how he did it? Or would a no contest plea nullify that?
I think that might be what you would require as part of the deal, for sure. If he's going to plead guilty, I think you have to require him to say what he did and why he did it, and give all the details of what he did. He probably would be, if he's going to plead guilty, he wants to tell what he did, okay? Because he's a like a psychopath, right? So if he pleads guilty, that'll be because he'll get to get up, and then that'll be part of the deal, that he wants to be able to say exactly what he did and what happened, because he's so proud. Hey, thanks, Lois Vandervood. You must be from Dutch or French. Let's see. Just like BTK got up and talked to the court. Yeah. That's one of the most chilling things ever, right? It's Dutch. See, there you go. See? I nailed it. But there's also, I remember a guy named Jean-Claude Van der Velde, which is probably why, I was thinking maybe it could be some sort of the guy that blew the British Open up 3 going into the last hole. Had to make a 15-foot curler to tie it, and then got just destroyed in the playoff. He actually beat the score with a putter years later. Yeah. Hi, everyone. This just got here. Who's this? Let's see. Did Gray just say, what was that, golf talk? Yeah, it was golf. Yeah, it was like, I can't remember what year. It seems like it was 1999 if I was going to guess. Or the golfer Jean-Claude Vandervelde. He was just this guy out of nowhere, but he was leading the British Open going into the last hole. And he pulled out his driver, and I remember Johnny Miller goes, "Somebody tackle him. He just needs to hit a 3-wood." But no, he hit that driver, but he pushed it way out to the right. But my God, he had an open shot. So then the second shot he hit, and it went and it hit the grandstands, and then it fell into I believe it fell into this creek or this water area. So then he started taking his shoes off, and he got into the water. He was going to hit that, but he goes, nope, nope. So he took a penalty stroke, and then he dropped the ball in this deep grass over here. And now he's hitting 4. So then his fourth shot, he just chunked it. It barely got over the damn water, and now he's going to hit his 5th shot from God. I mean, I think it was another one, and his 6th shot goes onto the green, and now he's putting for a triple bogey, and he made like a 15-foot curler bender downhill just to get into the playoff. I think it was with. Actually, remember, Leonard and God, I can't remember. He's kind of a bigger guy. I know his name. I just can't remember right now. It was crazy though, absolutely nuts. Notice when you ever do an aside, if you're not just continually talking about something, people just take off, like that one idiot a few minutes ago. Come on, just get on with it, Gray. All right, so we got the contains police report from Michael Douglas, and it's the actor even. It's weird. He took a job as a. Mr. Kohberger objects specifically to, as it is a police report, and his prosecution must have a witness to testify about the contents of the police report. He objects to the arrest of the requested document because the records are not a complete record. AT&T, Mr. Kohberger notes that the records are one copy of several copies obtained during the course of the case. This folder also contains records relating to someone else. And let's see. Okay. And it says the bagel shop video surveillance. Video for November 13th, 2022. This surveillance video is over 7.5 gigabytes. What time? Man, you could have just put a time. That would have been amazing. No information has been submitted. I think the bagel shop is probably when he came back at 9 in the morning. Bank of America, I can't wait to get the actual, precise information all around. I think it'd just be so fascinating and just be like, oh my God, you guys. And just laughing at the pro-burgers on a daily basis. Yeah, that'd feel good. Cafe Artista video. There, while they're loading, mentioning these places, why don't we just type them in and see where these are? Cafe Artista. Okay, that's on. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's going to be the video of. What did you say to Adam? Then Corner Club, that's going to be Maddie and Kaylee. Corner Club again. What did they buy there? Costco is where Kohberger went before he went to the Kate's Cup of Joe. And then DeSalle's student record regarding Bryan Kohberger. Dick's Sporting Good record of sale for Bryan Kohberger. I'll tell you what, guys, if you guys do, we're not at the goal or anything, but if you guys do 5 memberships, I'll donate 5 memberships myself. Does that sound good? So get started on buying memberships right now. Just like in my videos. Watch that video right now. Come on, you guys. 5 memberships. And then we'll have 20 for the day. That'd be good. Dick's Sporting Good records of sale for Bryan Kohberger. The disclosure contains a copy of sale records from June of 2022. The state has not specified what records it intends to admit as evidence, how it was made and kept in the course of regular conducted business. Okay, DoorDash records for Xana Kernodle. Well, there you go. Hey, troll from yesterday, why would they want to get the DoorDash records from Xana Kernodle when she didn't order it according to you? That's funny. That's good stuff. Hey, look at that. Amber Maiden got one. We need 4 more. What do you mean in the hearings? What does that mean, Tracy? You got to type in full sentences so we know what you're talking about. Jerry Lewis telethon? Not sure what that means, Marco. You sound dense. Let's see. Goes to show, stick around, and eventually your question will be answered. All right. DoorDash record, Xana Kernodle. Contains DoorDash records, but does not contain records. Oh, well, if it doesn't contain them for Xana Kernodle, then who the hell knows what that means? But maybe there's a, on the call log for the DoorDash driver, it shows it. I don't know. Then it says on 4/5/2023, disclosure is a DoorDash search warrant. Returns. The warrant returns contain photographs, a list of deliveries to 1122 King Road, and span as far back as 2019, and a spreadsheet of communication between the person ordering the food. Oh, well, there you go. A spreadsheet. That's crazy. Look at that's crazy. That's wild. Look at it. The warrant returns contain photographs, a list of deliveries to 1122 King Road, and span as far back as 2019, and a spreadsheet of communication between the person ordering the food and the DoorDasher. The state has not specified which of these records it intends to use at trial, how they were made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity, and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. All right, so we got 3 memberships gifted, and then welcome. No, it's 4. Welcome to Karen Morrison. So we've got 4 gifted ones. We need 1 more. So Karen became a Oogla Boogla freak and then gifted one. Yeah. Yeah, I just need 1 more, and then boom, I'll get 5, and then we'll get 5 more, and hopefully GSU PM will get one of those, because for some reason she never gets them. I think there's something fishy there. It was just 1 more, you guys. You can do it. I was about ready to... I figured it was going to come popping right up. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. And here are, for $25, we have 5 new memberships coming out. Some people like my videos. Some people like my live streams. I like my videos. I feel better when I make videos than live streams these days. But, you know, some people like my videos, some people like the live streams. But I use the same common sense and logic in both. So we got welcome to A and Sirius Black. Hey, look at A got one. Missy Foster, Lockbox. And it's like we're missing one. Oh, an ALR. That's one. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, everybody. All right. These records it intends to use at trial, how they were made and kept. So they do have a bunch of DoorDash stuff in there. I mean, 2 different places. Early warning records. This disclosure contains some certificate, but no record with content. Elon financial records for Kaylee Gonzalez. The records contained in this folder relate to a P1 FCU account for Kaylee Gonzalez's relative. The state has not specified which of these records it intends to use at trial. Let's see. And then there's the 1300 Johnson Avenue, Pullman, Washington. Surveillance video for November 13, 2022. This disclosure contains 2 dates of surveillance, each with 125 entries. The state has not provided any specifics. Well, why don't you look at it? You ever thought of that? Floyd Cannabis surveillance video for November 13th. Now they got the date right. 23 here. The surveillance in this disclosure comes from 2 separate cameras and has multiple views. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence for a certificate. Forrest Dax, Crypto.com, financial records for Bryan Kohberger. Interesting. This disclosure contains records that show purchase history and include the time but not the date, account activity, and automated chats relating to account updates. The state has not provided any specific related to what it intends to rely on to use as evidence, blah, 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 blah. It keeps repeating. Grub truck video surveillance. We all know about that. Harbor Freight. And by the way, do you guys want to... How about I'll send in $500 tonight to a charity. So which one related to true crime? I'll give you a choice. The Texas EquiSearch.
What's the significance of the victim's bank records?
Yeah, just probably to prove where they were at a bar buying something like that. Yeah, grub truck. Yeah, we can do like, okay, so you got Texas EquiSearch, RAIN, which is violence against women. We also have those are the ones, and NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then somebody suggested Black and Missing. Yeah, what do you guys think about RAIN? Amber wants RAIN. RAIN is violence against women. They also test backlog of assault kits. Yeah. I'll do Texas EquiSearch on donation night. How about that? Is that cool? All right. Well, here we go. Let's do it. I think RAIN matches what we're talking about. Violence against women. I mean, Ethan Chapin was there, but I think the intent was women. So there we go. And there's RAIN and donate. I don't cover the fee because I like having actual solid numbers instead of $506.38 or whatever the hell. So there you go. And all right, I'll show you when it comes in, but I gotta sign in and stuff over here. So hold on. I gotta choose. I'm gonna. Okay, once we put, I think my name, I'll put my phone number in there. Employer, don't have one. Do we want to put a, I don't know if that gives me a chance to put a note or anything. All right, here we go. Thanks for your support. And here is the screen that popped up at the end where it says contribution information, date 3/24/2025, $500. And there we go. Everybody, my address is already out there. People think they're so sleuthy when they go, hey, Gray, you live on Nebraska Street. Hey, good for you. Yeah, you can look up anybody these days. And now I'm going to go check my email. All right, there it is. So I'm going to put it way down here because people always like to see people's names. Can you see that email that came in right there? PayPal. Right there at the bottom of the screen. Click on it. And there it is. You paid $500 US dollars to Rain. All right, so it happened, everybody. It's right there, all proven on the screen. Because that's what my channel has to do, as opposed to everybody else. Hey, thanks, Paulette, for the coffee. So there you go. All right, so now we got to update our numbers here. And that's kind of like the benefit. Like every night I try to raise funds so that we can be able to give, and then also, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Look at, what happened? Yeah. So we try to make a difference here on the side. That's why I try to raise funds. It lets me make a living doing a show, but then give away a lot of the ad revenue, etc. Yeah, like one of them, I think one of the dogs is inside of the, like, look at, they're inside their little den over there. That looks pretty weird. All right, so now we're going to add that in again. So our grand total, since we've been doing this for 5 years, is 200. Yeah, so that 811. I'm gonna have to make some random donation to get that to an even number. Okay, so it's going to be 5311, right? Yeah, 5, and then, all right, so our grand total forever is 235,311. And I'm not sure that current year one, that's not, I don't even know why that's there because it's right here. And this year so far, we are at 6,000. Gotta get that number up. First couple months were pretty slow compared to the normal activity. So there you go, you guys. Yeah, so, you know, on this channel, I mean, people probably already left because I was like, hey, if you could help support the channel, blah, 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 blah. You know, like tonight we brought in, I think we're at 157, and then a bunch, 20 memberships. I bought 5, so it's probably, you know, like 257. YouTube takes 30%, so it's about $180 or something. And the, you know, we just donated 500 cash. So 500 cash would mean you'd have to bring in $750 in super chats to make the equivalent. And we didn't do that tonight. You could probably tell when you were watching. All right, anyways. But if you'd like to help support the channel, that'd be great. We can still keep on trucking. But if not, that's cool too. We just try to do what we can. So we got all these banks in here. Indian Mountain Lake Surveillance Records. Indian Mountain Lake Surveillance. Oh, that's where he lives, right? That's in Pennsylvania. Isn't that right? Yeah. It does not contain records of entry and visitor log. The time frame exceeds the date Mr. Kohberger was arrested. The state has not provided any specific related... Yeah, well... just look at it. Joanne Fabric. Why did he go there? Did he make his own balaclava? Something like that? Something specific for him? This disclosure contains a purchase information and receipt. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. Latah County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Darren Duke body camera. And that's the one that'll show that he's missing a front license plate. I bet you. Latah, and as a matter of fact, the judge referred to, I think, that time being pulled over that he didn't have a front license plate. Latah County Sheriff's Office citation issued on August, and that's got to be proven. So they have to have some record that Kohberger did not have a front license plate prior to the homicides. And then you see this white Elantra driving by Ridge Road without a front license plate at 4:01, exactly when the car would be there while it's doing its looping. Yeah, the PayPals or coffees or Venmos, things like that, they don't take the 30. YouTube just highway robbery almost, but I don't mind it. It's like, it's kind of convenient for people, I don't know. Yeah, I think he did get 2 because they're required to have 2 in Washington, so he had to have a second plate. Let's see. Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Darren Duke body camera. Latah County Sheriff's Office citation issued. Marshall financial records for Mr. Kohberger. National Weather Service records. That's right. You're going to see, what was the weather like when he went to Wawaway Park looking at stars? Well, it was completely overcast. How long did Kohberger sit there looking at stars? Well, I just parked my car and stopped. Well, why did you go there, Mr. Kohberger? When you looked up, and you're a smart guy, you looked up in the sky and you saw that it was completely overcast. What made you think that the skies would completely recede when you got there so you could see the stars, Mr. Kohberger? Well, you see, I'm God, you see. I can, geez, I know you think that, but... PayPal, Venmo, financial records. We got that one. This disclosure contains Venmo records for Mr. Kohberger. This record does not have any sort... I think if I was ever a prosecutor, I would be really sarcastic like that. I'd probably get objection. I just wouldn't be able to... you just got to point out the lunacy of it by using sort of dry humor... Officer, how many white Elantras would you predict drive around in this town at 3:30 in the morning missing a front license plate? And if Kohberger says he was one of those vehicles that was driving around, do you think it's logical to assume that the white Elantra that continues its motion driving around is Bryan Kohberger's? Yeah. Where do you think he dumped the knife and all the... Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere. I have no idea. There's 16 minutes of missing time that I found a long time ago. First, by the way. If you hear it on other channels, they just stole it from mine and, make it sound like they came up with it. But they stole, there's 16 minutes of missing time. After the car left at a high rate of speed, he should have been at near Blaine at about 4:30, 4:31-ish. Instead, and that's just driving kind of slow, decent, just a normal speed limit pace. Because it's only like 6 or 7 miles. It's not far. And so he just felt like he was safe. There's other theories out there. There's the other routes. Let me turn this one off. Way over here. See, this one might actually, if he drove this route, which is very out of the way. I drove this route right here, and I think that it brings you out, and there's Blaine right there. You know, so maybe when it was right in this area, it pinged over there, and he turned it on, and then made his way down, and then he comes right back out onto the main highway. I think it might be 199 or 99. Gets onto the highway, goes this direction, and then he does this thing. I actually recorded this too. I went on this route. Very crazy route, but I did it, and I drove it. And amazingly, doing that exact route and pretending the time I left was 4:20, I got right here at 5:25. I mean, it was amazing. It was like exactly the perfect amount of time. And there's a video that I have. See, I think there's a lot of videos out there that I've made that a lot of people haven't seen because I don't, for whatever reason, YouTube doesn't promote certain people. Okay, so you know, there's a lot of videos out there that you guys haven't seen, so you should probably dig through all the archives, and you'll see like some crazy videos that I've made. I actually did the whole night. I did all the loops, then left at a high rate of speed, and drove all the way across. The entire evening is one video in order. Now my route around the house isn't the way. Like for example, I had it like this. That's way over here. Okay. See this? Like I've had this drawn right here since basically the beginning of the case when the probable cause came out. And that is not in the probable cause. It was my deduction based on just wording and things that they were saying. And it turns out this is exactly where Kohberger stayed during the entire 4 loops that he was doing. Is right on that exact same thing. Kind of looks like a gun, doesn't it? Then, let's see. Yeah, so I had it where every time when he was here, every time he'd leave, he'd go off on Walenta Drive. And then he'd come all the way back around, drive in, leave on Walenta Drive. Interestingly, over time, that theory got changed because of audio from vehicles. But it turns out that I was right the first time because the vehicle comes in, but it comes in differently. The first time it comes in like this, and then it exits this way. Then it just stays back here and does stuff down in this area. First time it comes down, it goes like that and back up, and then around. Then it leaves again through Walenta Drive, down, does a U-turn, comes back up, goes in there, comes back around again, and then I think yeah, that's right. Then it comes back around after the 3rd loop, does another U-turn here, comes back up, and then when it comes back up here, it goes past King Road, drives all the way around like this, and unfortunately for Kohberger, he drove like this and took a right, and that's when they finally got that photograph without his front license plate. He changed his direction a little bit, and boom, he comes down like this, up and around. That was at 401 over there, and then comes back by here at 404, comes back around, drives back here, does a 3-point turn, turns around, goes over here, does a U-turn, turns out, and the probable cause it said a 3-point turn, comes around like this, and then drives this way, and then parks right there at 408. Yeah, it's weird. I think I have it memorized now, what that did. That's pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to watch it on the and what I'll do is I'll probably speed it up. I'll play one that's regular speed, and then I'll do one that's like 250%, and then you'll just be able to see the entire thing, and it's just crazy. He's just an absolute stalker. Nah, I think he was just waiting. I think when he was there at 3:30, if you remember what Dylan said, that everybody was in bed by 4. I think when he got there at 3:31, he saw the lights were on, and he's like, "Ah, shit." And then he come back again, 3:38. Ah, crap, the lights are on again. I think when he came back at 3:57, the lights were off, and then he took one more loop to give who's ever in the room, Madison, them time to go to sleep. And I think even when but here's the interesting thing. So when he was at 4 o'clock-ish, he's driving right by here, and I think he looked over and saw that there was a DoorDash or something there. And he was like, what is that? So then he drove like this, and he didn't go in there. He may have peered as he's driving around, and then he drove around like this, and then at 4:01, he drives over here, and then back around. And then when he's up here, he's looking over there, and he sees, okay, the DoorDash driver's gone now, and then he pulls in, and then maybe he's noticed that Xana's lights were on. It would have been right there, although this map doesn't have it. Let me go back to... So drives by right here and notices Xana's lights are on. So then does a 3-point turn over here, comes back, and he sort of stops here for a little bit, really slowly, looking, waiting, watching. And he still sees those lights are on, but he's committed now. He knows that Madison Mogan's lights off. So then he goes over here, does a U-turn, and again, kind of slowly driving back. But then right here, he really speeds up, and then comes around like that, and then parks his vehicle. Now, on that last one, I think every other time he parked back here, because then you can see into the window. Then on the last one, he drove up and parked in this area, because as he's pulling around, he sees the lights are off. Okay, good. Parks here, and then walks on flat ground, goes around, and then goes into the sliding glass door, kills all the victims, and then he exits, goes back around. He's by his car for a couple minutes, changing clothes and so forth. And at that point, if you believe that what the rumor is about Bethany Funk said that but apparently she saw somebody getting undressed. So hold on. This thing it takes a while to get loaded back up again. Okay, there we go. So let me go up to here. Right there. So if you were parked right where this maroon car is, but facing the other direction, don't you think that, like, Bethany in this room, if she looked out, might see somebody changing clothing? I mean, that is possible, right? That's pretty crazy. But I'm just going to show you, if you're right back here, probably about right there. Look how easy that is. It's just like a little tiny step down and then around, instead of way up at the top here where you're basically have to go down a really steep bank and then over there. But if you look at that, it's kind of there is still a little bit of a hill there, but it's not huge. I guess we could really see it from right there. So just remember that fence wasn't there, but look at it's just a small little jump down, right? Yeah, I always thought that too, Zozo. That's what I always thought. Like, I thought he went there to kill all 4 of the girls. That's still a possibility, right? We can't absolutely say that's not what... That he went there to kill all 4 girls, and maybe he was going to start up in Madison's room. And it just so happens that Kaylee was there, and he didn't know that she was there. And Ethan Chapin. And those are 2 people that disrupted the flow of what he was going to do. And because in that case, there was 2 people in both those rooms. had it, let's say it was, he did go there to kill all 4, and Ethan Chapin wasn't there, and Kaylee Gonzalez wasn't there, that means there'd be one individual in each room, and that would have made it just very, very easy for him, even more so, right? In this case, there was 2 in 2 rooms, and those are the only people that were killed. So that's kind of interesting if you think of it like that. Yeah, Kaylee had moved out, yeah. She was just kind of visiting. Some of her stuff, I think, was still there, but I don't know if any of her stuff was. I don't know the exact details. I know that she was already moved out and came back to visit. Mm-hmm. Still up for some coffees, you guys, if you... Very cool, very cool. Anyways, thanks everybody for helping support the channel, for those who did, and hit that like button, etc. Yeah, make sure to hit that like button. Alright, so now, if you guys, what time is it? How long have I been on here? Yeah, I get another, 30 minutes or so. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Xana Kernodle is the one who ordered? Let me just do polls, because it just seems really, these are the questions that the pro-burgers ask. Did Xana order her own DoorDash? Yeah, there you go. And by the way, it's Xana. You see people in the chats, usually pro-burgers, spelling all their names wrong. They don't even know the names of the victims. They know Kohberger, though. Well, when you say, I think she did, well, I mean, it just seems really obvious. I mean, it'd be amazing, though, if it turns out, to be honest with you. No, it's not really speculating, Marco. It's having a common sense and a brain, but I know what you're saying. I mean, it would be really pretty amazing, though, if at trial they somehow were able to tie it to him. Like, he's the one that ordered it, but the DoorDash driver came in, and he was watching to see if anybody got the order. Maybe he was going to use that entrance point. That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? But to me, it just makes sense, because Xana was still awake and on her app. So, I mean, it'd be kind of weird if you were sleeping and got a DoorDash delivery. Highly more probable than Xana ordered it, in my opinion. Well, yeah, it's like 99.9%. So why root for the 0.1? I'm not sure what you're talking about, music lover. Let's see, the house may not have been safe to walk through, but it may have been good for the jury to I'm totally fine with them taking that thing down. Nobody needs to keep a house up like that for that many years. I understand people whining, I don't know, people pretend that it's a bigger deal. I think it's just, if you see the photographs, you'll be able to tell everything about the house. You see the Faro scan, the images, I mean, how long do you let it sit there? Till his appeals are over? It's just a joke. I mean, downtown, when there's a murder in a downtown parking lot, they don't sit there and, don't let people park there for the next 4 years while the trial makes its way through the system so that the jury can come and look at its undisturbed nature. Forget it. What theory? Yeah. Right. Well, that's what my theory is on here. I've been going over the Madison Mogan is the target theory for a long time on here because I've been there and you can see right through the window and it's just right there, and that's where he would have parked each time he was going around, waiting and watching, looking through Madison's window. Madison also is sort of like the typical sort of Barbie look where a stalker like that would probably be more focused in on that person. And, you know, he just would have thought she was upstairs in her room and went up there and he was going to kill her. And who knows what he was... I don't think he was ever going to, like, assault her in any sort of sexual way because he knows about DNA, etc., right? Yeah, I don't think you need to go visit the crime scene. It's just a complete waste of time. It's like 4 years later, 3 years later, you got to keep the building sitting there. They always just use photographs in crimes, you guys. Let's just be honest. Somehow everybody they wanted this building to still be up so they can go visit it someday. That's the real reason most people care that much. I don't believe most people think that somehow the jury just won't be able to figure it out. If I can make these little 3D models and stuff, I'm sure the prosecution will be able to come up with something that'll let everybody be aware of, etc. Just don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. ATM. I don't know. I don't really care about, you know. So he went to an ATM machine. Okay. Awesome. Maybe it'll show his bushy eyebrows on it. And, you know, it'd be interesting, though, if the ATM machine was in Moscow, Idaho. Wouldn't that be great if Kohberger used an ATM machine in Moscow, Idaho on that night? That'd be absolutely hilarious. He forgot about it, though. He was just withdrawing cash. He thought that'd be safe. He forgot that his card was... He seems kind of dumb like that, to be honest with you. A lot of people think Kohberger's this really smart guy. But let me ask you this. Would a smart person be separating his trash and throwing it into his neighbor's garbage can when a check of his garbage can for DNA is going to lead to his father or sister anyways? That's the point I'm making. It's just ridiculous. So that means he's just not really aware. He's kind of dumb. Bryan Kohberger. Anyways, I wonder sometimes, does my commentary on like what I observed, does that affect anybody's opinions over time on stuff in the chat? DoorDash, it's not an alibi though, millennial. It's not a. There's no DoorDash alibi. There's no. That's not an alibi related situation. Yeah, he's dumb. Equate to limited. I don't know if I saw the brain scan one. To be honest with you, I thought it was in these hearings, but maybe it's out somewhere else. But let me ask you that. When I'm going over these cases and putting stuff together and the commentary, does it affect over time? Do you start going, God, that makes, like you see the logicalness of the cases instead of still wandering down the path of not knowing in a... I don't think so, more. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Chloe. I have no idea what you're responding to. Let's see. I'm hoping so anyways, because I want more people to just kind of use, think through things like that. Like, what's the most logical, what's the most, You know, what thing makes the most sense right now? You know, and then branch out, because what you want to do is fill the box with facts, then think outside of the box. That's an original quote of mine. You got to fill the box with facts, then you think outside of that box. Oh, look at that. There's Zozo. Yes, that's why I never had to go anywhere else. First and only channel. Hey, there you go. See that? That's why Zozo's awesome right there. Even though we argue and, you know, like, she's, you know, she's no pushover, I can tell you that. You know, but she's still here after all these years. I don't know what that person was saying up there. Yeah, well, I try to make videos based on the evidence presented. And then sometimes things change. You know, when you read the probable cause document, I came up with the 4 looping around, but now it's different. You know, it's kind of like, it's even more stalkery. You know, if that's even a word. You know, more stalker-ish. I mean, look at, he's going like this. Ding, just right back down here. Then back again, and then like this, and then back, and then eventually goes around like this, and then back again. You know, and it turns out that we thought that there was a sighting of a white vehicle at this gas station, and apparently that's not connected at all. It was at the same time that the vehicle's driving back over here. At least that's what I think. Second. Yeah, that's right. Well, Sunshine Country Chickens. It's weird. It's like I don't really have any competition in the logical thinking through cases arena. Even the really huge popular channels, they always entertain stuff that's not really has any likelihood at all to pump up their fan base. But I won't sacrifice, like I won't pretend I think something for likes and views. I mean, I took a huge hit during the Debbie Collier case. I mean, I think I'd have like 500 people watching, 600, because it was a big case right at the time. And I would say it was like me against 595. I mean, there might have been 5 people that agreed with what I was saying in that case. And turns out, right again. Let's see. Yep, Kohberger did it. Yeah, I did. And then the sad part is I actually took the time and got a hold of the investigator, and he told me in that case, he goes, well, there's an item missing from the crime scene. I think he even said the gas can that held the lighter fluid. And then I went, you guys, okay. He said that, but now it looks like it's a homicide. But then every night we'd go through the case again, and I'd go, God, this still just seems like she did it to herself. And then he came forward later and said, oh, we found the melted plastic of the container of the gasoline. And then eventually, yeah, it was crazy. That's not the only one. I know there's other cases. I don't know. Let's see. I've probably been wrong quite a few times out of, if you go through thousands of cases, you know. But I think in general we're pretty accurate here. I'd say 90+% we get very close to what happens in a case. Yeah, Bryan Kohberger is no genius. Hey, everybody, I'm going to separate my... Just think about that part I just told you. He separated his trash so that his personal DNA wouldn't be found. But it doesn't make any difference at all because his dad's DNA and his sister's DNA in there. So it'll lead to, and he knew that they were probably doing investigative genetic genealogy maybe. And even if it wasn't, the DNA in the garbage can would have been, you'd know it was a sibling or a father. Roski doesn't make too much fuss during the hearings. I now think it's because they are confident. Yeah, well, I've always known that. I heard a long time ago that it's just absolutely nailed. Like there's stuff they have. This case is just a no-brainer. And Taylor knows it too. And she's just trying everything to get off that island. Like Gilligan and the skipper. They tried everything, man, including putting wings on Gilligan. But Gilligan, he got some lift. That's one of the things that's always bothered me about that show, Gilligan's Island. Other than that, the premise was absolutely factual. But the one time when they put, because I think we all know that if you pedal a bike, you could probably make some coconut pie somehow out of it, and maybe even charge a radio. But I remember the one time where he put wings on, Gilligan did. You guys remember that one? And he was flapping. And my God, he had lift, everybody. He was 10 feet off the ground. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then the professor and the skipper are standing right next to each other down on the ground, for God's sakes. And the skipper looked up and said, "Gilligan, you know you can't fly." And then Gilligan goes, "Oh," and drops to the ground after being up in the air 20 feet. Now you'd think the professor, being a genius, would have looked up there and said, "You know what, Skipper? The damnedest thing, man. He was 20 feet up in the air. Let's work on this." Instead, they just walked away like nothing happened. Look at Gilligan had 20 feet of lift up there. Come on. See, I don't like illogic like that. Let's see, which one? I'm telling you the truth, too. Where the hell is this episode? Let's see. Let's see if we got it. Gilligan, you can't fly. Is that the one? Okay, let me just saying Gilligan flying. I guess it's just in this clip here. Let's see. His biggest blunders, it said.
Birds fly, it's real easy.
Oh, yeah.
Gilligan, come down here right now. Okay, here I come.
Look at him! Look at him, everybody! He's flying!
Gilligan, you can't fly. It's impossible. I can't? No!
Hey, look at this!
Gilligan, little buddy, are you all
Gilligan,
right?
little buddy, Skipper!
Impossible?
Yeah.
Why'd you have to say that?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what the worst part is? Is the skipper. I mean, the professor who was right there, for God's sakes. He didn't come out and say, "You know what, Gilligan, let's try that again, man. You had 20 feet in the air." All right. Yep, just sit right back and you hear a tale of the fateful trip. It started in the, I can't remember. Aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, right? The skipper brave and sure. Hey, thanks, Ozzy Trisha. How's it going? "I don't want to watch Gilligan," Mary said. "I don't care what you want to watch, Mary. Do you understand that? Nobody gives a damn. All right? Are you one of those people that when you leave a channel, you say, 'I don't like this place. I'm leaving'?" Okay, good. See ya. I knew it. I called it. Look at that. I said exactly what she did. Did you see it? Look at that. That was awesome. I don't want to watch Gilligan. I said, watch. You're one of those people that does a goodbye comment, and there it is. Boom. God, people like you suck. It's unbelievable. Can't have 1 minute of just doing something else. All right. Anyways, let's see. Have a good one. Yeah, you're trying to be funny? Okay, come on. I don't know where the joke was. Tell me where the punchline was, where we could, maybe do. Wow. There's the passive aggressive wow. You always get that from these people. All right, what else? What else do you guys want to talk about? Let's see. One of the big comments I always get is, Gray, why do you keep making videos about the Elantra? And I'm just putting out the factual information on the Elantra and different images and so forth, because I think the movements of the white Elantra that's missing its front license plate is the second most crucial element of this case. Okay? The DNA on the knife sheath that was left inside the house allows people to immediately go, okay, yes, then that is his Elantra missing its front license plate. Because his DNA was found in the house in a 13-minute window is when it was left there, when the white Elantra stopped and then drove away at a high rate of speed. See, can you just block Mary Lynn? She's, again, one of the people that are never going to work out here. They're always going to complain or whine or moan. And it's not going to work. I can just tell. We just need to move forward. Or you can stay and I'll play a trigger bunny for you every once in a while. We'll put the bunny on the screen. Do one of these, where is it? Right here. Just play that. It's a trigger bunny, honey. You ain't no dummy. You're a bunny. Alright, does that make you feel better? Okay, good. I love you. It's okay. Wow. And by the way, if you're wondering, she just keeps typing in stuff like, so she wasn't joking at all. I don't want to watch Gilligan. And then the rest of them were about like how, well, I'm here to talk about Kohberger. Well, I've been doing the show for almost 3 hours now. We've talked about Kohberger the entire time. Maybe an anecdote here and there about something else. I mean, it's a show, right? Right. Yeah, but do you guys agree? I think the next one is probably the phone information. So it's going to be the white alarm. Well, it's all combined, like the phone being turned off at 2:53, and then a white Elantra showing up in Moscow, Idaho, missing a front license plate, and then that same vehicle is spotted a third of a mile from the residence at 4:01, and then that same vehicle can be tracked backwards, multiple loops around the residence, and then all the way back to what's the name of that place? It's right over here. Indian Hills Drive. There you go. So anyways, the white Elantra is a huge portion of the case, but it's always disputed by the pro-burgers. So for me, you can't dispute the DNA. You can pretend that it's not important and say, oh, it's touch DNA, it could get there anyway. Really? Let me ask you this. How would touch DNA get on the button snap of a K-bar knife sheath? And it just happens to be at the... Oh, he was set up. Okay. Is it reasonable to believe that Kohberger was set up in this case? And the answer is no. Okay? It's just not reasonable, and there's no evidence that he was set up by anybody. So, and then it turns out, darn it, Kohberger bought a K-bar knife and the sheath on Amazon the same year in March, apparently. Gosh, that's bad luck. I mean, what are the odds? You know, you got to admit, it's terrible odds. I feel, listen, you guys, I feel bad for Kohberger, all right? I feel bad for Kohberger because it just so happens that on a night that he left his house at 2:53 in the morning, turned his phone off, he just wanted to enjoy the stars, didn't want to get bombarded with all those people that normally call him at 2:53 in the morning. It just so happens that there was and he, you know, he's driving in his white Elantra, missing his front license plate. And then some other guy, that's amazing. Some other guy, you know, and then just think, also just kind of add in that Kohberger had bought a knife and a knife sheath, you know, months prior, the K-bar knife. And then the same night that he's out and about, some other schmo that owns a white Elantra missing a front license plate also has a K-bar knife that he bought. It's so weird. It's the craziest thing in the world. He's missing a front license plate and he's driving around with a K-bar knife. And he's the real killer. And he left the knife sheath there. But somehow earlier in the day, Kohberger was at a McDonald's where this same person with the Elantra was, and he shook his hand. He said, "Hey, what's your name?" "Well, I sell Amway." He shook his hand, and then that guy, when he was putting the knife together later, put Kohberger's DNA on the button snap. Wow, what an unlucky guy. So Kohberger earlier in the day met another guy with a white Elantra missing a front license plate who also owned a K-bar knife sheath but happened to shake hands with Kohberger earlier in the day to transfer the DNA on the button of the knife sheath. What an unlucky guy. What an unlucky guy. Yeah. Remember that video I made? It was called an unlucky Kohberger. Because what you do is you work in all the conspiracy theories by the nutters out there, and then you just say, look how unlucky it was. Like, okay, the cartel hit one. Wow. Look how crazy that is. That a cartel person happened to be driving around in a white Elantra missing a front license plate. They also had a K-bar knife sheath of the exact same brand that Kohberger had bought months before. Then they go in and perform the hit, and somehow, again, at the McDonald's earlier in the day, one of the cartel members shook Kohberger's hand, or maybe he was in the toilet. Maybe Kohberger took a deuce on the toilet and flushed it, and this guy did the same thing, and some of his DNA got on his hand, and then he, later in the evening when he did the knife sheath, he was putting it together, prepping for his night. Yeah, it's unreal, man. There is no reasonableness. Hey, thanks, Ozzy Trisha, for 10 memberships by Ozzy Trisha there. Amazing. Kristen, Chloe, Alberts, Kimberly, not Kimberly, and then it was Jane Smith, Paula, and then what was the other? Who got him on the other one? It was Whaley, Katie, Becky, Breaking Windows, and Mary. The roommate are not involved. Yeah, the roommates have absolutely nothing to do with anything. Yeah, it's amazing to me how, see, that's that effect that you get in all the cases out there. Once there's a killer identified, and there's already been a group of people, massive groups, who already thought it was somebody else. Once the killer's been identified, now it's a setup of that person so they can continue to keep blaming other people. You know, so a lot of people think that because Dylan and Bethany didn't do exactly what they would do, apparently they're involved in something. And for me, it's just, there hasn't been a moment in this case where I ever thought that they had something to do with it. And I don't need to know if their mom did drugs or something. It's irrelevant. Doesn't mean a damn thing. Kohberger's the killer. Let's see. All right, what else? And now, here's the thing. I think there are some people out there that they don't know anything about the case, but they think Kohberger is innocent because they just watched a couple videos by the nut jobs, and that's what their opinion is of it because they don't know anything else. Those people aren't as dumb as the people who literally have looked into everything and think Kohberger's not guilty, because to do that means you are completely lacking of common sense and have completely just sort of I just lost your mind. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's so obvious. Yeah, maybe he kept the knife. See, that's the thing about the sheath, though. See, I mean, I have two theories. You know, obviously the one, he just lost it. And then the other one, I made a video on it, is that he left the knife sheath as a signature, calling card. You know, there's a difference between a signature and a calling card. A signature is the way that you commit the crime is similar. Like if you went in and, you know, cut him a certain way, did this and that and the other thing. Where a calling card is something you left behind to let police know that you were there. You know, where the signature has a similar effect. They're just not the same thing. I guess we could, let's see what ChatGPT says about that. I used to hate AI, but now I think it's like amazing. Let's see. What is the difference between a signature and a calling card in a crime? Hey, thanks so much, Mary Lynn. Oh yeah, let's do it. Dicing, I said Siri Winnie. Huh? Watch Gilligan. Oh. I thought you were saying, hold on.
I'm sorry. In writing, I said to Siri IWNT to watch Jill signs, and then you were not nice after a bad day in the ore. So please accept my apologies.
In the ore?
I am a good person and donate a lot to various channels.
Okay, well, that's okay. I appreciate your apology. Sorry if I didn't understand what you were saying. It just seemed like you just said you don't want to watch Gilligan, and then you said after that you just want to talk about that case, you know. But I wanted to go on to a, different, every once in a while I just go off on a riff about something, and that should be okay to do on my own channel. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. All right. Bygones are bygones. Anyway, I appreciate the super chat, but you could just type that in without the support, and it would have been the same thing. Anyways, what does it say? What is it? Let me hit the button here. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. A signature is a unique behavior or set of behaviors that fulfill the emotional or psychological needs of the offender. It goes beyond what's necessary to commit the crime, right? That's exactly right. It often ritualistic or symbolic. It tends to remain consistent across crimes. It's driven by the offender's fantasy or compulsion. Posing the body writing a message in the victim's blood, leaving specific objects on or near the body, repeating ritualistic act. And then a calling card is something intentionally left behind to taunt law enforcement, show off, or leave a mark. Sometimes serve as a, you see, there is that overlap that I was just saying. They're similar. Serve as a signature in the common sense, but not necessarily psychological. So I guess that's the thing, is the signature is the psychological, something left. The way that they killed the person, perhaps, was done in a psychological way, where the calling card is just like literally something left behind to say, hey, I was here. And that's why I think the knife sheath, that's what that would represent, right? That's not some way that he killed somebody, etc. I think the knife sheath, if he left it there, is going to be, if he did it intentionally, it's a calling card, not a signature. The signature would be how he killed each of those victims, and if there was any similarities between each one of them, or did he pose them, did he, stuff like that. So I think I was pretty close. It does say it can be part of the signature, just an attempt to draw attention and send a message. Key difference. Signature is tied to internal psychological needs and tends to stay consistent across crimes. Calling card is more about external communication, attention. Like a calling card would be like the letters, those the Zodiac Killer letters. He left those behind that you had to try to decode. There you go. Yeah. Give me some examples. Let's see what we got here. Example, Ted Bundy. He would often groom the victims post-mortem, apply makeup, wash them, or return to the body for necrophilic acts. That's just crazy, that he would do that. Why is it a signature? These actions had no practical reason for the murder. They serve his psychological needs and reflected his deep-seated fantasies. BTK, signature. He would bind, torture, and then kill, hence the name. The binding and taunting behavior were key to his fantasy. Why is a signature? Why it's a signature? The torture aspect wasn't necessary. Yeah, so I guess that's the key thing in the signature is the way they killed them. There was stuff done that was unnecessary to commit the killing. Wow, Ozzy Trisha, thank you. Becca, SJ, Tracy, Van Bat, Linda, and Bitter Tea. Oh, it's okay, Mary. Don't worry about it. Let's see. And then Jack the Ripper, signature. Often mutilated specific body parts, specifically the removal of organs. Why it's a signature. The organ removal had no strategic purpose. It satisfied a deeper psychological need. Calling card, the Zodiac Killer. Boom. See, I just said that a minute ago. Sent cryptic letters and ciphers to newspapers and police, sometimes including pieces of victims' clothing. Why it's a calling card. It was meant to taunt authorities and build a persona. The crimes could have stood alone, but the letters made it theatrical. The playing card killer. Spain. Calling card. Left a playing card, usually the ace of spades, next to his victims. And then Kohberger, maybe it was going to be the K-bar knife sheath. Kohberger, the K-bar knife killer. Isn't that sound? Kohberger, the K-bar, Kohberger, the K-bar killer, right? In the future. So he was going to maybe leave a K-bar knife sheath at each one of his victims' scenes. And perhaps he was going to, when they say he was going to replace his K-bar knife sheath, Was that maybe he was going to buy a new one to commit another homicide and leave that one again? Don't know. Don't know. Well, we don't know Polka Dot, Suzanne. So you can just say you think that. You don't know that. It wasn't Ashley 1111. No, that you're exactly what I was just talking about a minute ago, where you're something wrong. You need to go back to maybe a college, maybe a community center, something like that. Try to figure out what's going on. All right, so it says Jack the Ripper. Why it's a calling card. This was about taunting. Well, let's see. Calling card sent a letter to police claiming to be from hell. So even the killer of April Tinsley, John Miller, he sent calling cards to the police. He left messages on barns and so forth. TLDR, signature, ritualistic emotions. Want a comparison from a fictional case or TV show to sometimes those illustrated clearly? Nah. I think everybody gets it now, right? Yeah, it's your opinion, so state it that way, not like it's a fact. No, I am basing it on what we have too, and it easily could be that he left it there intentionally. Yeah. He knows they're gonna see his searches if he knew they'd be coming for him. But he didn't think they were going to be coming for him. That's the thing. So he didn't care. He thought he had it so well planned. And the thing is, he may have been arrested without the DNA at some point because they just would have taken time. They would have had to look into each person that lived around there and their Elantra, and then look into them specifically if you could get warrants of some kind. I don't know how you might be able to get a warrant by saying, look he was driving around, his phone turned off at 2:53 that night, and it came back at 2:53, but then you have to get a warrant to get that cell phone data information. So what would be enough for a judge? I mean, that might have been the hard part. Like, what would make a judge sign a search warrant to be able to look up those things? Like, what information was out there that would make a judge go, okay? Would it just be possibly that he drives a white Elantra and it's missing a front license plate and he lives in an area? That would be kind of tough. So it has to be stuff that you could just readily find, because you need a warrant for a lot of the other stuff, right? So it's almost like the DNA allowed them to get the warrants that then found a lot of the other stuff. So it might be really tough. Jeez. Who's this idiot that just... Let's see. Israel Keys, serial killer, killed my friend's daughter, Samantha Keys. My son's friend, Biddy. She always called me Mama Mary. My friend's daughter, Samantha Keys. Was that his... Oh, she just happened to have the same kind of last name as him. Yeah. Yeah, Israel Keys. I don't know if he had any signatures or whatever, but he had those kill kits. I think he literally traveled around and planted his kits in different places. And then eventually he went back and grabbed the kits and then committed his murders. And it's pretty wild. Yeah. Interesting. So he killed somebody with a similar sounding name as his. I'm not a proger, and here comes the but. As soon as somebody says, I'm not a proger, but here's the but. And there it is. By any means, but, meaning you are a pro-burger, I can see why the defense states he has autism. Having Asperger's is hard, and we tend to be more book smart than street smart. Social cues is hard also. Okay, so you're not a pro-burger, but you're going to get in trouble. We got somebody that's going to go after you, Felicia. I have Asperger. Having Asperger's is hard, and we tend to be more book smart than street smart. Social cues is hard also. Yeah, but I mean, that's not going to get him off of anything. They're trying to get the death penalty taken away because he claims he's autistic. That's what he's trying to do, Felicia. Which one, what are you, do you have like Asperger's or maybe, I mean, there's all these different spectrum levels. I don't know how they know exactly what somebody is, you know. I mean, what makes somebody have Asperger's compared to somebody on a different level on the spectrum? I mean, why is one level called Asperger's, and why aren't just everybody on a different spectrum level? Oh, you have, yeah, I knew you have Asperger's. Yeah, you just said that in your comment. I read that. You must be behind somehow. Well, you don't know if he's on the spectrum or not. He just says he is now because he's trying to use that to get benefit from it. It's not called Asperger's anymore. What is it called? Felicia just said it is called that. See, she says right here, I have Asperger's. I was responding to the book smart comment. That's probably right, Jeremy. I think he nailed that one. History will show that when a defense attorney starts bringing up mental illness, their client is usually guilty. Right. Right, because they're already working on the mitigating factors. Like, well, you know, we shouldn't give him the death penalty here because, right? Totally. Maybe you don't have it, Felicia. Maybe somebody just told you you did, and over time you just grew to believe it. I mean, your LOL was perfectly timed up there. I think you got it nailed. Yeah, well, there's people on the spectrum that, man, they're like savants, you know. I mean, I think Rain Man was one, but he was like way on almost like a dysfunctional level in terms of, you know, interacting in a normal society. But yeah, I mean, that wasn't a real story. It was just but there's people like that. Haven't you seen those ones where they listen to music and then they play the entire song on a piano and they're, you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, how is that even possible? No, I just said Keys, Keyes, right? I didn't realize that he killed somebody with the same name. Similar sounding name, anyways. I didn't know that. I didn't realize he did that. That's kind of weird, right? Doesn't it seem like he would have chosen to do that? Because Keys is pretty not common name. What do you think, Mary? Let's see. We don't have a tough crowd in here. We're normal. Yeah, we didn't know what I didn't know what you were saying. The defense are attempting to build sympathy for him. Right. It's me, Mike Piano is... Oh. Kid, I'm drawer... Oh, you can draw? Sweet. Yeah, I didn't realize that he had somebody else, a victim named Keys. I hate having to keep trying to explain away something when you're just having a conversation. I'm just reading comments. You know, Oh, Koenig was the name? Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, Koenig. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that name before. I thought, wow, wouldn't it be crazy if he killed another Keys? Oh, okay. No big deal. Hey, you know, there's autocorrect on... I kept typing something in on my phone the other day, and it kept saying, like, totally, not even anything that I said. You know? Yeah, don't worry about it, Mary. I think a lot of times people like to, you know, like they're experts on cases, so if somebody doesn't say something absolutely right, they jump down your throat. He was planning on taking Samantha's boyfriend, but he was late that night, so he got nervous and took her across the street to his vehicle instead of using her boyfriend's vehicle. Yeah, I never really... I know our Cairo, who hasn't been here in a while, he really knows about Israel Keys a lot. Like, he basically had access to all these files, and it's pretty interesting. I didn't know that he had male victims, though. I didn't really look through it like that. I guess he just didn't really care. What was his goal? Just totally... Like, what was his MO? You know? Yeah, let's look up... let's do that. What was Israel Keys... It says Israel Keys had a chilling and highly organized modus operandi. That made him especially dangerous and difficult to catch. Here's a breakdown. Random and opportunistic. Keys deliberately chose victims at random to avoid detection. He didn't have a specific type. He picked people of various ages, genders, and backgrounds. Geographic distance. He often selected victims far from his home in Alaska to prevent any local connections. Meticulous planning. He would fly or drive long distances, sometimes across multiple states, and pay in cash to avoid leaving a digital trail. Kill kits. He buried kill kits years in advance. That's just insane. Near potential crime scenes. These contained weapons, restraints, and tools for disposal. Abduction and murder. Blitz attack or break-ins. He would abduct victims quickly, sometimes via home invasions, other times by overpowering them in public. Restraint and control. Keys used zip ties and other restraints, often gagging or blindfolding victims. Varied methods. He used a variety of methods to kill: strangulation, stabbing, and shooting, again, to avoid establishing a pattern. So his pattern was not establishing a pattern. Isn't that weird? Body disposal. Remote locations. He often disposed of bodies in isolated or remote areas to make discovery difficult. Destruction of evidence. He was careful to clean up after himself, often burning or hiding anything that could trace back to him. I think that's what Kohberger did right after he committed the crime in that 16-minute window. Post-crime behavior. No personal connection. He avoided any victims connected to him personally. Return to normalcy. He would return to his quiet life. I think he was construction in Alaska and act normally. He had a business, a partner, and a child. Keys, and it's so weird. It's like he just had this compulsion to do this. Keys is believed to have murdered at least 11 people, though he only confessed to a few before taking his own life in jail in 2012. His case stands out for how carefully he avoided detection and how much of his killing was done for the thrill rather than any specific motive. How was he caught, by the way? Let's see. How was he caught? If you don't have ChatGPT, you should buy it. Because I pay monthly. It's just like the greatest thing in the world. Oh, that's right. It was the Koenig one. Keyes abducted 18-year-old Samantha Koenig from a coffee kiosk. I've seen that video. In Anchorage, Alaska. She was taken at gunpoint, and he later assaulted her and killed her at the same night. What makes this case different is that instead of disappearing quietly, like his other victims, Keyes kept Samantha's phone and debit card, using them later to try and throw off authorities. Using the victim's debit card, after killing Samantha, Keyes traveled to the lower 48 states and began using her debit card at ATMs across several states. God, how stupid. After he was so careful. And then there's going to be a camera at each one of those. Surveillance cameras captured grainy images of a man wearing a disguise, a mask, and hoodie while making withdrawals. The ATM withdrawals allowed the FBI to track his route south. Authorities knew what kind of vehicle he was driving, a white Ford Focus, thanks to surveillance footage, probably at the Koenig. They were able to narrow down potential suspects by tracking rental car usage which helped pinpoint his movements. Traffic stops in Texas. On March 13, 2012, Keyes was pulled over by Texas Highway Patrol in Lufkin, Texas for a minor traffic infraction. In the car, they found Samantha's debit card, her cell phone, a ski mask, a gun, other suspicious items like dyed bills. That was enough to arrest him on fraud charges, which later escalated once they tied him to Samantha's abduction and murder. Aftermath, while in custody, Keyes eventually confessed to killing Samantha and hinted at least 11 other victims. I think he drew a map. He never revealed all the details and ultimately died by taking his own life in December. So basically, for a guy who was... that's pretty cool. Look at ChatGPT's just chatting now. Hey, so basically, for a guy who was so methodical and calculated, using Samantha's debit card and trying to manipulate investigators was his fatal mistake. It left a digital trail, something he had always avoided before. You guys want to keep digging? It says, want to hear more about what they found or in his kill kits? Yeah. Describe the kill kits. Oh, yeah. Now it's like, let me see what it says.
Oh yeah, the kill kits are one of the most chilling parts of Israel Keyes' whole operation. They show just how long-term, premeditated, and cold-blooded he was. What were the kill kits? Keyes created what he called kill caches, or murder kits. Airtight plastic buckets or containers buried in random remote areas across the U.S., sometimes years before he ever used them. Contents of a kill kit. Each kit typically contained items that would help him carry out a murder and cover it up completely. These often included weapons, guns, knives, or other tools for killing, restraints, zip ties, duct tape, rope.
Yeah, I guess it quit playing it. Cash, to pay for gas, motels, or bribe someone if needed. Disguises, masks, gloves, dark gloves, chemicals, Drano, or other corrosive substances to destroy evidence. Garbage bags for body disposal or cleanup. Yeah, see, I think that's what Kohberger used at his car. He left it there so he didn't bring any blood inside the vehicle. Shovels or tools for buying victims or hiding evidence. Keyes would travel across the country and bury these kits in places he thought he might return to. He had no specific timeline. Sometimes the kit would sit underground for years before being used. At least 2 confirmed kits were recovered by the FBI, one in Alaska and another in New York. Jesus. Why were they so dangerous? Because they were untraceable. He paid cash for everything and buried the kits far from his home. Pre-staged. He didn't need to buy anything near the time of the crime. Reusable. Ah, that's a good point. Like he buried these 5 years before, bought with cash, and there's nothing near the year or month or anything of somebody buying those items. He could dig one up and commit a murder within hours. This strategy let him kill with total anonymity. No digital footprint, no last-minute purchases, no connection to the victim or location, just pure methodical horror. What's even more terrifying, there might still be undiscovered kill kits buried out there, and we may never know how many victims are tied to them. Want to know how the FBI tried to trace his movements based on those kits? Let's see. Okay. How did they trace? Yeah, so hey, it's starting that we're like buddies now. Me and ChatGPT.
Yeah, so after Israel Keys was caught, the FBI had almost nothing to go on. He had spent over a decade intentionally avoiding leaving a trail. But once he was in custody, he started dropping breadcrumbs. And the FBI got to work reverse engineering his travels and trying to link him to crimes and kill kit locations. Here's how they tried to trace his movements and find the kits. 1. Interrogation plus map drawing. Keys agreed to talk, but on his terms. He was very controlling about what he revealed and when. He admitted to at least 11 murders, but didn't name most of the victims. He eventually drew maps for the FBI showing kill kit burial sites and general locations of murders, but not with much detail. 2. Bank and ATM records. Once he used Samantha Koenig's debit card, the FBI pulled ATM records and saw where he'd made withdrawals. This created a roadmap of his movements across several states. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, etc. They matched these ATM hits with hotel stays, gas stations, surveillance footage, and rental car records. 3. Airline and rental car logs. Keys often flew from Alaska to the lower 48 and then rented cars to drive thousands of miles. The FBI pulled his flight history, rental car agreements, and mileage logs to triangulate possible routes he could have taken during his murder vacations. 4. Cell phone data. Minimal. Keys was super cautious with tech. He often left his personal phone behind or turned it off. But occasionally, when he slipped, cell tower pings helped confirm locations or timelines. 5. GPS and kit recovery. Based on Keys' maps and some specific tips, the FBI recovered at least 2 kill kits, one in Essex, Vermont, linked to the murder of Bill and Lorraine Currier, one in upstate New York, not tied to a known murder yet. These recoveries helped the FBI validate his claims and realize how widespread his planning was. 6. Matching to cold cases. The FBI created a timeline of Keys' travel history from 2001-2012 and started matching it to unsolved disappearances and murders. They issued public appeals with maps, timelines, and sketches of unknown victims, hoping someone might recognize a pattern. The problem? Keys was deliberately vague. He said he didn't want his victims' names released because he didn't want to give their families closure. He was playing a game until he took his own life in December 2012. So even with all the data, many of his crimes remain unconfirmed. The FBI is still investigating, and it's possible more kill kits are out there, and more victims whose stories have never been told.
Well, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty interesting, Got a little better feel for Israel Keys. But anyways, I think that's gonna do it for me tonight, you guys. Right after this, I'm gonna keep working on finish route pass number 1. All right, and then I just thought, yeah, man, I could do that. Nah, yeah. Let's see. That was interesting. Yeah, it was pretty. All right. So thank you to Alley Cake, Sammy Day, Vicky White, Truth Sleuth, Texas Wench. That's the actual name, everybody. Cheryl, gifted a membership, and Kate H, then K Me, Kate H, M Morgan, Cheryl, been here for 20 months. Kel, new member. Then Self-Esteem, then Michelle H, then Amber Maiden, Yorkshire T, Jenna, what is it? Sotal HGCS, something like that. RDW, WDR, Strawberry Reason, K Me, 1-4 Ya, Big Girl for Life, Thea Roy, then Zozo, 61 months, Melanie Summer, Alley Cake, Shelley Hall, Sandy Shirley gifted a membership, Linda Howe, Wise Child, Beverly Bordy became a new member, and welcome to all the new members out there. Then we have Eve Loves God, then Eve Loves God 11 months, very cool. Julia M. Morgan, Kim DiMaggio, Mark Millis, Linda Howe, Jessica Schubach, Moofies, M. Morgan, Karen Morrison, Hannah, this is one started by Linda Howe, a wave on the $1, $2. Hannah UK, Alley Cake, Wise Child, Kim Christian, then RDW WDR, K Me, Self-Esteem, Mark Willis, Lois Vandervood, and then Amber Maiden gifted a membership, then Karen Morrison, new members, and RDW, Karen Morrison, Wendy Woobles, all gifted a membership, and Sandy Shirley, then Bobby Swain gifted a membership, then I gifted 5 because of you guys, and then Ashley Higgins, then Ozzy Trisha gifted 10 memberships, and Chloe Alberts in Scissors, Oogla Boogla, and then Mary Lynn did a cat eye donation, and then Ozzy Trisha did another 5. So she gifted 15 memberships. Thank you, Ozzy Trisha. Very cool. And then, hold on a second. And then we also have WNC Granny and Kathleen on PayPal's. Then we had Paulette. And then it just says someone became a supporter from Canada on Buy Me. These are all from Buy Me a Coffees. Then Sandy Shirley, then Ted Bundy, then Anna S., then Joshua. Let's see, did like, God, it feels like he did. Yeah, he did 3 Venmos. Very kind. And then Tamara did a Venmo also. So thank you guys. And we also gave away $500 tonight to RAIN for violence against women. Right? So there you go. A channel making a difference regardless. But I think my channel makes a difference in 2 ways. Adding clarity to the discussion of cases where you just put the information together in a logical, rational way, fill the box with facts, then think outside of that little box. And then we also try to give away a lot of the income that the channel makes to various true crime related charities, including our DNA fund, which we've put over 100,000 in so far. And that is for identifying Jane and John Does, etc., and crime victims. And then also our scholarship fund, where for 2 years in a row now we've put $6,000. So 1 year we gave 2 $3,000 scholarships. This last year we gave 3 $2,000 scholarships. And it's Plato and Zozo are the ones that review all those and pick the winners. And so thank you for that. And now we're working on another $6,000 of scholarships for students in the criminal justice world. So there you go. I think that's about as good as you could probably try to do if you're in the true crime world. Wouldn't you agree? You don't see any of the networks doing anything like that. All right. Well, anyways, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time. All right. I think there was also Ray Lynn. I missed that one. So Ray Lynn did a Cash App. And then, yeah, I missed that. Okay, there you go. I got that. All right, thanks, everybody. See you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Boom. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking checked ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. We're all rich. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody.
You pieces of shit got to the jury, didn't you?
Yeah. And also thanks to all the mods out there. For, I know when we do these Kohberger nights and any of the big cases, Delphi, this one, the trolls just come in. So, you know, they're fast and furious. Didn't seem like there was a tremendous amount tonight, but, you know, and by the way, we don't call people trolls just because you don't agree. It's your behavior that you're called a troll. You can say, I think Kohberger, I didn't do it. And I'll go, well, that's full of crap, man. That means your brain is malfunctioning. It doesn't mean you're a troll and you won't get blocked for it. You get blocked for, you know, when, like, for example, the person that came in last night said, F you to everybody, you know. Usually don't last too long on something like that. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Correct.